People, it's your boy Big Star Raw Sports here, man, with grand finale of Legends Week Season 3. This week has been crazy, man. Monday, we had my man Alvin Williams. Tuesday, we had my man, Alvin Williams from Germantown Academy. Tuesday, we had my man Junie Lewis, hoop legend from Abington High School. Wednesday, we had the legend Mark Jackson from Roman Catholic. Skip Thursday. Friday, we had my man Marv O'Connor from Simon Gratz. Yesterday, if you missed yesterday, man, you definitely missed a treat. We had my man Sean Colson on. That was a classic, man. And tonight, rounding it up, season finale, got the legend Donnie Carr, man. This is going to be a treat, man. If you know anything about Donnie Carr, you know, Roman Catholic, LaSalle University and beyond. Got my man on here. We're gonna get it done. Hey, I can't see. I can hear you, but I can't see you.
You can't see me?
Nah, here. I can't see you. Just
All right, hold on. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
all right. Everybody, if you tuned in, it's about to go down, man. We got a classic tonight, my man Donnie Carr, Roman Catholic High School, LaSalle University, man, Philly legend, man, for sure. You know, come from a classic era of high school hoops. You know, my man's gonna tell his story. And if you all, you know, you guys know the format. Let my man, you know, Donnie's gonna tell his story, and at the very end, we're gonna have a nice little Q&A. Let the people go back and forth with my guy, and you know, we're gonna wrap up the week. All right, Donnie, he's going. I guess some, you know, minor technical difficulties. He's going to send me another request. Here we go. There he is.
What's up? What's up, Big Star?
My guy, what's good, Coach?
I'm
What's
good,
going on,
man. I'm good, man. How you doing, man?
I'm blessed, man. Always blessed, man. You know, more blessed to be in your presence, man. I've been looking forward to this for a
Yeah,
couple years now. You know, every
yeah,
time I would see you, you know, I would kind of mention it, but I've been looking forward to this for years, man. So finally, we're here, and I know tonight's gonna be legendary, man. I appreciate your time, man.
yeah, man. Thanks for having me, man. I'm honored, man. Like you said, man, every time we saw each other, it was always good vibes, man. Great conversations, and you know what I mean. I'm just thankful that you gave me this opportunity, man. So, you know, let's do it.
No doubt, man. Well, two things, man. I always want to remind the guests of why, you know, I do Legends Week. You know me, and you know, like, you know, I always, you know, I collect the archives, and you know, I you know, a lot of old school stuff. But two things I love to do is one, I just want to do my part to help to solidify your legacy, and I don't ever want anyone to forget who Donnie Carr is and you know who Donnie Carr was. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I just want to do my part to solidify your legacy so that people never forget about all the things that you accomplished, you know, regarding basketball and life in general. And two, I just want to do my part to educate this younger generation. A lot of
yeah,
these kids, you know, you know, you're coaching them, or they may see you at AAU games, and I don't think they quite know. You know what I'm saying? So I just
um,
want to make sure I do my part so that when they're walking past you, they'll look and say, "Yo, that's the guy right there, Donnie Carr." You know?
man. Guys like myself appreciate you, man. You study your history, man, and you know, like that's kind of how I came up, man. I was blessed to have a lot of great people, you know, in my family, in my circle, man, that really helped me understand the people that was before me. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And it was, you know, it was their obligation and their duty to make me understand the guys that came, you know, before us, man. So what you're doing is big time, man. It's a great thing.
Thank you. God bless you, man. We're gonna get right into it, man. So we're gonna play a quick game of I call it 10 random questions. I'm gonna just shoot 10 random things at you. Then we're gonna get into the storytelling, just have some fun. All right.
Yep, let's do it.
All right. Favorite cartoon growing up?
Shit, the Jetsons or the Flintstones.
No doubt. Two classics, definitely two
Hmm.
classics.
And,
Um
and, and Scooby
Most
Doo.
and Scooby Doo? Oh, no doubt, for sure, for sure.
Tom and Jerry.
Oh, you running them down now, for sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
all of those.
Most points you ever scored in a game at any level. I mean, like Sunny Hill League, no summer leagues, college, high school, anything.
Yeah. I scored 55 was my high, man. Yeah. And I actually came late to that game. It was an All-Star game that I came late to. It was a neighborhood All-Star game I came late to. Down Palumbo's, I had 55, man. It was legendary.
How late did you come to the game?
I was probably 10 minutes late. It was probably 10 minutes into the game. You know what I mean? I came and it was just one of them days, man. It was one of them days.
just got right in your groove, huh?
Yep. Yep.
That's what's up. What's your favorite food, if you have one?
My favorite food is honestly lobster tail, man. I like lobster tail. And salmon.
Salmon? For sure. Definitely two classics.
Yeah.
You grew up in the 80s like myself, and in the 80s, everybody was watching wrestling. WWF, NWA. Who were some of your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Yo, man, it's funny that you say this, man. A lot of people gonna laugh that know me, man. So I actually, people in my neighborhood call me Bundy.
Oh, snap!
And because, you know, I would always I just love, you know, King Kong Bundy.
Kong Bundy, no doubt.
His antics. So I used to always talk about him. My big brother said, yo, man, I'm tired of hearing you talk about this dude. I'm just, yo, your name is Bundy now. And then everybody started calling me that. It's crazy. But you know what? I had a lot of favorite wrestlers, man. I had, you know, my older cousin, you know what I mean, his name was Lateef Spradley, and his brother Bobby, man. I used to stay at their house a lot. And they would put me on all the wrestlers like Bob Backlund, Andre the Giants, Superfly Snooker, the Road Warriors, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? The Four Horsemen, Ric Flair.
Of course,
you know what I mean? Arn Anderson, all them dudes, man. So, you know, that's what it's funny because that was my first love. You know what I'm saying? Wrestling was my first love. I didn't even like playing basketball. Like we would go to Toys R Us and buy like fake belts and go to different neighborhoods. And they used to always tell you like, yo, man, don't try these moves at home. You're putting people on the floor, Nelson.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
We was trying all the moves.
Yeah, all the moves, man. That's what we did, man. That was crazy,
my favorite John to do the figure four leg lock.
Like, that's what I was about to say. That. Oh man, that
joint really hurts.
It's painful, man. That hurts bad. You know what I'm saying?
I think the most tried moves at home was the figure four and the full Nelson.
Yep. And the suplex, for real.
For real. Yeah. Grab somebody, especially if you have a mattress, a bed, or a mattress.
Exactly.
For sure. I asked that question because if you grew up in the 80s, that was a part of everybody's childhood. Saturday morning, like it was inevitable.
Absolutely. That's what we did, man. Yo, man. It's funny that you say that, man. A lot of people probably laughing on this straight right now, man, because they know. I mean,
but everybody can identify because, like,
no question.
Everybody's watching wrestling. Like Saturday morning, you watch the Saturday morning cartoons, you watch wrestling, and then you got to your day.
No doubt. Facts.
Philly, City of Brotherly Love. It's known for cheesesteaks. How do you normally order a cheesesteak?
I'm basic, man. I'm not like, I grew up back in the day, so like, I'm a South Philly guy, so Pat's and Geno's was huge back then. There wasn't like a lot of like options now. Like you had gyms on South Street, but I was pretty much a guy that had the cheese whiz, because you could get the cheese whiz at Geno's with the onions, ketchup, that little mayo. That was about it.
Pretty simple.
I wasn't really that, give me the works type dude. But
Got you.
I stayed down there, that was one of my stops.
No doubt. In Philadelphia, when you were coming up, who was somebody that was kind of before you that you may have admired basketball-wise or kind of looked up to, when you were coming up?
Yeah, that was Rab Towns, man. Rab was like an icon, man. And in our neighborhood, it's like, I never forget like watching Rab. I told the story before, like me and Sewell was this big, Crisis and Adventure was like a big league, and Rab was like a young boy, like, and he was playing up, which wasn't common back then. And everybody thought that Rab was like, like back then it was before he fell in love with scoring. Okay. You know what I mean? Like he was a pure point guard, and he got the name Rab because he could do tricks with the ball. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So he would do some crazy stuff with the ball, like, and that's why they gave him the nickname Rab, because it was like he was a rabbit. You know what I'm saying? He would pull tricks out all the time. You know what I mean? With his handle, you know what I mean? It would daze you, man. You know what I mean? And the passes, like behind the neck, behind the back, double behind the back, all that stuff, man. So he was there. And obviously, Lionel Simmons, man, he was the standard. You know what I mean? Like growing up watching Train and, you know, my other OG, Bobby Johnson, you know what I'm saying? And Randy Woods was another dude I looked up to. Doug, those dudes, you know what I mean? Mark Macon. It was a lot of dudes, man, because I would always watch basketball, man. Aaron and Eddie, you know what I mean? Those guys. It was a lot of dudes that inspired me, man. A lot of dudes.
Got you. All classic names, man.
Yeah.
Were there any other sports that you played growing up besides basketball, like football, anything?
You know what? Crazy thing is, we would always play football and baseball, but, you know, because of my size, you know, like, and I regret this to this day, like all my cousins played baseball organized, but I played baseball a lot, but it wasn't organized because when I went, they wanted my birth certificate because I was so big. Because like coming out of school, I never grew. Like I was the same height I am now, like coming out of 8th grade. So everybody thought I was going to be a giant.
They thought you was going to be like 6'9".
I had huge feet, you know what I mean? Like my feet was the size of my age. So if I was 12, I wore 12, 13, all the way up until 15. But, you know, I stopped growing. So yeah, man, that was it.
Got you.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite NBA player growing up? You know, in the 80s, 90s.
Whew. I mean, I had obviously the three, man. I love Magic. You know what I mean? He was different. I loved Larry Bird and I loved Jordan. They were my three favorites. But like the dudes that I pat my game after was Gary Payton and Joe Dumars. They was my two like dudes that I'm like, look, man, they like around my height. You know what I mean? Like I gotta pat my game after these dudes because I used to love how Dumars could play both guard spots. He could be on the point. He could be on the two. You know what I mean? Like his handle, he'll lower you to sleep, walk you down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was just smooth. You know what I mean? Joe D was that bull. And GP, like a part of me like was a big trash talker. You know, that's how sometimes I got myself going. So I would love to watch GP. You know what I mean? They was like my two favorites.
Got you. Okay, this is a good question now. It's a thinking question. I mean, and you've been rattling the names off, so I know this is gonna be easy for you. So if you could go back in time in the Back to the Future DeLorean and grab so you graduated. What year was you? 96?
96. I graduated high school. Yeah.
All right. So if you can go back to 96 and including yourself, 5 players, including yourself. So bring 4 back with you, an all-star 5 from your class in the Philly area to go against a 2020 all-star 5 from the Philly area. Who would you bring up with you?
The Philly area or
city, suburbs, all everywhere.
Oh shit. That's kind of easy, man. I would definitely go with Cole, Rick, Ya, and shit, who and 96, right?
Yes.
And I would go with my big fella, Ronnie Conway, man, because he was a dunking machine, shot blocker extraordinaire. That's all we would need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With those guys right there, I would go with, Ronnie Conway. A lot of people probably don't know that name, but he was a beast, man.
And where he played again?
He played at Roman with me, but then he wound up transferring to Frankfurt.
Okay.
With Yad Davis. And he was on that team with John Walker, Yad Davis, Earl Foreman, Petrick Sanders. Pete was another good name, but I'm gonna just go with my guy because Ronnie was my guy. I won chips with Ronnie. So.
No doubt. That's what's up. Last question. Can you cook? Just out of curiosity, can you cook?
I can.
So in the event that you was having some company over, some family, some friends, some family over, what meal would you put together to impress your family? I mean, to impress them.
I'm gonna go with my go-to, man. I'm gonna go with some salmon. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? Probably some broccolini or broccoli. You know what I'm saying? Salmon, broccoli, and some corn. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep it basic, but
no doubt.
I like to eat healthy, man.
I can dig it. All right, I appreciate the warm up, man. So we're gonna get right into it. Just like all the other legends, Obviously, I have some questions, but you know, you seem I know I guarantee that you're a great storyteller. So I don't want to get in your way of you just kind of having the freedom to tell your story.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'll interject some questions when I need to. But just start us off, man, by just telling your story by the way of just reintroducing yourself to the people, and just start us off by letting us know where the Donnie Carr story begins, man.
Man, Donnie Carr's story goes all the way back to when I was in 5th grade, man. I'm Donnie Carr, you know what I'm saying? South Philadelphia kid, went to school. I'm gonna tell you the schools I graduated. I graduated from St. Charles Borromeo, which was on 20th and Christian. Played for the legendary coach Jake Jordan there. Went on to Roman Catholic, played for the legendary coach there, Dennis Sutton, who won 10 Catholic League championships. Graduated from there, went on to play at LaSalle for a legendary coach, Speedy Morris, Hall of Fame coach. So, but it goes all the way back to 5th grade, man, which, like I told you, I was a big wrestling dude. I was an avid wrestling dude. And I would always play roughhouse and stuff like that, basketball, practice on my skills and all that. And I was big, so everybody was like, yo, man, you should play ball. You know what I mean? So, and then, my brother, who was a schoolyard legend, a lot of people used to tell me how good my brother was.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? His name is Darren Carr. A lot of people know him as Goop. You know what I mean? He went to Southern. He was a little older than Lionel and Bob and all those guys. But really couldn't get his grades right. Ran into a lot of distractions, couldn't stay focused. But, he became a schoolyard legend. And, when I was in 5th grade, I never forget, I was going to St. Rita's prior to me being in 5th grade, my 4th grade year, and they shut down. So I went to school, another Catholic school, St. Philip's on 2nd and Christian. And my 5th grade teacher, her name was Miss Coleman. And when I got there, everybody saw how big I was, so they wanted me to play ball. So I was like, man, what was the record? What was this, like, what they do last year? Oh man, we only won 2 games. I said, why would I want to play with a team like that? Like, I'm a winner, man. I'm not trying to play for the. So she was like, well, maybe you could make the difference. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And so I said, you know what? That's kind of like how it happened, man. I was like, that's a great point. I never looked at it that way. So she was like, but, it starts with academics. Like, you can't play ball if you don't do good in school. So, I would, at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to just focus. So, I did good in school in terms of like just, making sure I was focused, getting my grades. And then we wound up, me and another friend of mine that went to the school prior, St. Rita's with me, then we wound up at the same school down there. His name Kyle Guest. So we wound up, playing for St. Philip's, and it was an instant turnaround. Like, we made the playoffs, you know what I mean? That first year, then the second year, St. Charles was like the best school in our region. And we wound up losing the championship to them in 6th and 7th grade. And then St. Philip's closed down, and then I went to St. Charles.
Gotcha.
So then, St. Charles had a lot of legends, man, like Marty Sue Campbell that wound up starring at Newman, Lloyd Ransom starred at Newman, Dwayne Sugar Hill,
wow,
that starred at Roman. It was like a lot of guys that was there before me. And, we won 42 straight games and lost in the state championship.
Wow, and that was in what, 8th grade, 7th grade?
That was my 8th grade year. My 8th grade year at St. Charles.
Was that like the CYO?
Yep.
Okay.
But I skipped a step. So back then, before I did that, my brother and my brother's best friend, who's a family member, they walked me down to the Sunny Hill League in Marion Anderson. And like, when they found out I was playing in 5th grade, it was like, all right, you want to play? All right, well, now we're going to turn you over to Claude Gross.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And Claude was, for those people that don't know Claude was Wilt Chamberlain's brother-in-law. He married Wilt Chamberlain's sister. But Claude was a unbelievable player in his own right. Started, Franklin and scored. He took me home one day and showed me his scrapbook. I couldn't believe it. But he was actually one of the only people that beat Wilt Chamberlain in high school. And he would score 50 and 40 and but he was just before his time. So they walked me down there, man. And I never forget the introduction. So they walked me in the gym in Marion Anderson. You couldn't play unless you had a jock strap. So they made me sure I had my jock strap. They'd send you home. Like, you had to have a jock strap.
Yo, I think my old head Mo asked
Yeah,
about Mo
yeah,
told me about the jock straps and all. He
yeah.
told
You
me
could
about
not
that.
play unless you had a jock strap. So I walk in, he checked me, make sure I got my jock strap. He was like, so my brother and his friend Daoud Bey, he was like, yeah. So he was like, this our latest prodigy, man. We handing him over to you. But Claude was like, guess what, man? He was like, I don't care if you tell your mother, your father, your uncle, your sister, your aunt. There's nothing you can do because they just handed you over to me, right? So he was like, what position do you play? So at the time, I was so big, I was like, I'm a center. You know what I'm saying? He smacked me right in my head. Boom! I was like, yo, man, like, dog, man, y'all bring me down here to this dude. This man is crazy, man. The first thing he do is smack me upside the head. He was like, listen, man, don't ever let nobody label you. He was like,
Yes,
you're a basketball player. He
that's
said,
right.
if a team needs a guy that can play defense and rebound, you that guy. If a
Yes.
team need a guy that can get a bucket and score inside, outside, you that guy. If a
Hmm.
team needs a guy that can make plays, you that guy. Don't ever let nobody ever let nobody give you a number. You're a basketball player.
That's right.
And that resonated with me for life, man. And at the end of the day, you look at the game now, man. It's positionless. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? It's
Yep.
positionless basketball. So, you look at the Golden State Warriors. Like, who was the point? Who was the center? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Who's the wing?
Yes.
It's just,
Yep.
that sets the trend. So at the end of the day, man, me learning the fundamentals down at the Sunny Hill League is things that carried me through my career. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And then I was blessed to play for, like I said, Jake Jordan, at St. Charles, Dennis Sutton at Roman, and then, Speedy Morris. So I had some great basketball minds, man. And along the way, you know, um, Mr. Bill and Lawrence and Positive Image, man, they were a huge part of my success, man. The opportunities they gave me, when AAU was in its infancy stages, and I remember coming into Roman, get in ninth grade, man, I was overwhelmed, man. We had, Mark Jackson, who was a top, 50 player in the country. And I was a big guy, so I had to, I played varsity as a freshman,
Wow.
and I never, I got in sparingly, but I practiced against Mark every day,
Like
and
just curious, curiosity, what led like going from the middle school Catholic school to Roman? Like you knew you were going to go to to one of the Catholic schools, or what led to Roman?
no, it wasn't that. It was I actually considered going to Gratz.
Okay.
I actually considered going to Plymouth White. I mean, Penn Charter. I
Okay.
actually considered going to Plymouth White Marsh.
Okay.
I actually
Wow.
considered going to Roman and Newman. But when I got to
Plymouth White Marsh, any of them schools would have been legendary because in
yeah,
them days, they all had
yeah,
ballers.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
So what happened was when I got to St. Charles in eighth grade, all my family was there. You know what I mean? So all my cousins and my best friends, and we had an unbelievable year.
Uh-huh.
So we all had made a pact to just go to Newman together. Like, yo, man,
Okay.
we just gonna continue this in high school. We gonna go to Newman. But what happened was, what happened was, you know, by our success, having so much success, and me, quote unquote, being the best player on the team, people were like, yo, man, who is this guy, Donnie Carr? And then, they came out with the ratings in southeastern Pennsylvania, and it was like, Kobe Bryant, Tamir Harbin, Donnie Carr, top three players. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So now, everybody wanted to see, what school I wanted to go to. And I kind of took my time, man, because it was like, you had Shee Wallace and Terrell Stokes, who was a great friend of mine at Gratz. I'm like, yo, that would be a great spot for me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And, one of my mentors who started at Bach Tech and Cheney and wound up making the NBA, his name was Jimmy Wilson.
Hmm.
Um, he had a great relationship with Coach Al, what's his name? Al, I forget his last name, at Plymouth White Marsh.
Hmm.
That Coach Chuck Moore and John Simons and them guys. So he was telling me like, look, man, that'd be a great option for you. You know what I mean? So when it all came down to Roman and Newman,
Gotcha.
and everybody tells this story. Like I went to Newman for a day, but it wasn't really a full day.
Okay.
You went there on like a Thursday to go pick up your books
Uh-huh.
and get your roster. And I went
Yeah.
that day because I actually played for Newman in the summer league, the Greater Philadelphia League was the top. It was the big thing at the time in terms of high school summer leagues, and it was at Penn Charter.
Uh-huh.
So I had some great games for Newman. You know what I mean? And I had a game where I had like 17. I was 8th grade going into 9th. I'm playing varsity. I had a couple games where I scored double figures and it was doing really well. And I never forget. I got a call from the Roman coach because I had actually signed up to go to both schools because I was like torn. I'm like, yo, man, Roman has all this tradition, and Newman wasn't really. Newman wasn't as a program. It wasn't obviously where it is today. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So, but Roman had already won 6 straight championships, and it was like, yo, man, you want to come be a part of this? Like, I know you went to Newman one day, but just think about it this weekend and consider, what you're leaving behind if you go to Newman.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? And it was like, for me, it was like, you know what? All my friends are going there, my family going there, but is that what's best for me at this point? You know what I mean? And that was a life-changing decision. It was a life-changing decision. Like Roman Catholic, made me, who I am today. You know what I mean? And I was just blessed to play for an unbelievable coach, you know what I mean? And Coach Sutton, who, to me, he was like a Phil Jackson at the time, man. You know what I mean? Just a guy that was a great manager, you know what I mean? Great teacher, you know what I mean? And just really knew how to get the best out of everybody, in the program, you know what I mean? And he was unbelievable. And, his assistant coach, Coach Stepp, and Coach Rodney Handy, those guys were great. And, I formed, unbelievable relationships because we had so much success and so much tradition, man. I got there. Wayne Sugar Hill was a guy that went to St. Charles. So he's like, look what you going to do. You coming over, man. I'll take care of you, man. But he was going to be a senior. He's like, I'm going to pave the way. I already paved the way, man. All you got to do is follow my lead. Then it's going to be your show. And that's kind of how it all happened. Like, I was practicing, R.C. Keogh, Tamir Harbin, Chris McNesby. We had an unbelievable, young cast of players, you know what I mean? And, with the older guys, Dwayne Hill and Mark Jackson, Mike Tabb, Dennis Bond, all those guys, Gus. Those guys, man. And like I said, they had won, 6 straight championships. So now, so that was an unbelievable experience, man, practicing against Mark Jackson, who was a pro every day. I learned how to, perfect post moves because Mark was like Kevin McHale, man. He was, he wasn't a high jumper, man, but he had every move in the book, man. Like the up and unders, the turnaround jump hooks over either shoulder. Like he was a beast, man. And he was physical. He was tough, and just like Mark could beat you up while he was on offense, hit you with every elbow and shoulder and forearm in the book. You know what I mean? Carving out space. So like just getting the chance to go up against him every day, man, it just took my game to another level. You know what I mean? And then I was named a captain as a sophomore.
Okay.
On that team. And
so were you getting minutes as a freshman in some of the games?
So yeah, I mean, most of the times we had some pretty decisive wins. You know what I mean? So we would get in and I actually. Yeah, but in close games, no, it was more so me just watching. But I tell a story, man.
Learning and practice and stuff.
Yeah, learning and practice. But practices were harder than the games. But I got in the Catholic League Championship game because we played North Catholic, and they had Joe Harvey and the Comey brothers, and they had like a 5-guard offense. Back then they spread us out. They had a great game plan, and Mark had trouble keeping up. And he really didn't have a matchup. Now they couldn't do nothing with him on the other end, but. They were like running us. So coach just threw me out there to kind of like, gather. And I wound up scoring 4 points and we won the game in overtime. So it was huge, man. And then, Coach Sutton just had an unbelievable, ability to just see things in players before they can see it themselves. They say that's what the great coaches do. And just because of, my heart, my toughness, my work ethic, he named me a captain as a sophomore. Wow. And that was huge. And then, Larry Kettner, Mark had left. Mike Tabb transferred to Academy Park. And Larry Kettner transferred from West Philly to Roman. So we pretty much had, our whole JV team. And then we added Larry. So it was, Tamir, RC, Chris, Larry, Ronnie Conway, Will McKnight, You know what I mean? All the guys that started on the JV team wound up becoming that varsity team the next year, and we wound up going on to win the championship, you know. And
Wow. Wait, as a sophomore.
as a sophomore. So I won it as a freshman, won it as a sophomore. And the most talented team that I've ever played on, we didn't win. You know what I mean? That was with, you know, that next year, my junior year, which was, you know, Larry Kettner, Ronnie Conway, Tamir Harbin, R.C. Keogh, Chris McNesby, Will McKnight, myself, you know, young Rasul Butler. Like, we had a lot of guys, man, and we wound up not winning the championship. And we lost to Carroll, who had an unbelievable team, unbelievable coach, Tom Inglesby. They had Martin Inglesby, Paul Romanchuk, Raphael Biggis.
Biggest, yeah. Wow.
And they had a great team. And, you know, we had beat them 3 times that year, but they played the perfect game that year, that game. And it only takes one game, man. They beat us when it mattered. And, you know, it was a heartbreaker because we broke the string. You know what I mean? And it was like, yo, we had won 8 straight, and we were going for our 9th straight, and we lost to Carroll. You know what I mean? Carroll played the perfect game, man. It was, you know, it was a classic game. And then that next year, my senior year, we were on a mission, man. We came back with shaved heads. It's not going down. And, you know, I went in the locker room after the game, after they beat us in the championship, and shook everybody's hands and told them, man, congratulations. You guys deserve to win. You guys were the better team today. You know what I mean? And but I said next year going to be different. You know what I mean?
I know that's right.
We wound up, and I say that the most talented team I played on was my junior year. The best team I played on was my senior year, because it was just like we had role definition. Everybody knew, you know, what everybody was supposed to do, and we were connected, man.
And who was that roster the senior year?
So my senior year, it was Kurt King, Raphael Stevens, R.C. Keogh, Jakob Jaskobiak, Juwan Justice, Rasul Butler, myself. I think that's it. We had like 8 guys, 8-man rotation, and we lost the first game of the season we opened up our season at Cincinnati University. We lost the team that wound up beating us wound up winning the state championship, but we lost. We were up 20 at halftime. They came back and beat us.
Wow.
And we lost that first game. We went on a 28-game winning streak, and we didn't lose again. We didn't lose a game in the city. We won every tournament. We won a Hawaii Classic. We won a Delaware Shootout. You know, everywhere we went, we won that year, man. We won 28 straight games. We didn't wind up losing until at the end of the season. We lost to DeMatha in the Alhambra tournament. That was the next time we lost.
Wow.
So, you know, but honestly, man, you know, everybody thinks that like I was this big scorer, and it's funny because people that see me be like, oh man, all you did was shoot the ball. And I laugh at them because I'm like, yo, if you think all I did was shoot the ball, you really never saw me play. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, when I was at St. Charles, you know, my cousin led the team in scoring. I was averaging a triple-double. You know what I mean? I was like a point center. When I got to Roman, you know, nobody averaged more than 14 a game. You know what I'm saying? So you had to do other things. You had to defend. You had to rebound. You had to make plays. You know what I mean? And I was always one of the best passers on the team. You know what I mean? With our 2 point guards, RC and Chris, I was like the guy that was, you know, like a point forward, because I played forward at that point. And I was kind of like under the radar at that time. I wasn't really. I wound up being like a top 30 player in the country, by my senior year. But I was like in the 100s before then, because it was all about team. And, you know, like I said, what my mentor taught me, like whatever your team needs you to do to win, that's what you do. It was like I really played like an all-around game, and it would be getting overshadowed at time because I wasn't the most talented guy. You know, if you want to talk about me, who I was, I feel like I was the toughest guy. I feel like I was the smartest guy. And nobody was going to outwork me or play harder than me. That's what I brought: heart, toughness, and work ethic. You know what I mean? And I prided myself like, yo, you might be more talented than me, but you ain't going to out-tough me. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to outwork me, and you're not going to outthink me. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, that's how I played the game. So at the end of the day, that going into my junior year, I was like considered like a Division II basketball player. You know what I mean? Wow. And everybody was like, yo, man, if you wanna, you know, get to that next level, man, you got to take your game out on the perimeter. Now, before then, my first 2 years at Roman, first year I played like power forward. My second year I played like the 3, like small forward. You know what I mean? So I was always playing on the baseline or inside. You know what I mean? Which really helped me become a really good post-up guard in my career because I played like that for so long. You know what I mean? And like I said, playing against Mark and mastering post moves at a young age was like crazy. You know what I mean?
How tall were you around that time when you saw?
I was the same height. I never grew. Like I was 6'3", coming out of 6'2" and a half, 6'3". I might have grew a half an inch.
Yeah,
you know
and that was it.
Yeah, and then Claude taught me how to play the game inside and out. Like he always said, like the game is played inside and out. Like you don't come to the court shooting threes, warming up. You got to shoot layups, man. You got to perfect how to make layups. He would go crazy if you tried to shoot an underhand layup. You know what I mean? His whole thing is use the glass, overhand everything. 2 hands on the ball. You know what I mean? So like learn how to play the game the right way before you start like going between your legs, behind your back. You know what I mean? Shooting step off, threes and all that. Like, no, be fundamentally sound. Those things really helped me, you know what I mean, throughout my career. And but I was under the radar. So long story short, Mr. Bill and Lawrence was like, look, man, you know, like the coaches at Roman told me, like, look, man, you got to get on the perimeter. Like back then I was considered like a big. So I was considered a Division II basketball player. So I worked on my game. First of all, I had to lose weight. So what I would do is I would practice with the cross-country team. Okay. Like every day I would run with the cross. I never ran in the meet, but I would practice with them. I would run the same routine they did every day. I would do with them. And then I would come back to Rome and run the stairs and then play ball. Wow. So at the end of the day, I was probably like 230 pounds because I was like kind of big and chubby. I lost 40 pounds. Wow. And all of a sudden I'm 190. Wow. And now, you know, I'm playing as a 2 guard, you know what I mean, which people never seen. And Positive Image and Mr. Bill and Lawrence, they gave me, you know, Point Breeze, you know, they gave me that platform, man. So at the end of the day, I played with Point Breeze, Positive Image, and you know, we played against everybody. We played against the Sunny Hill teams, and I had left the Sunny Hill team to play with them because I felt like the Sunny Hill team was so talented. You know, they would put me out there, but they would still put me as a forward or a center. You know what I mean? And you know, when the scouts came up, like, you know, it was funny. You posted that picture of me and Kobe splitting co-MVPs at the Donofrio Classic. Well, the year prior, I was like the guy posting up 6'9" guys. So, and that used to be a live event. Yeah. So like people came around, saw me, they're like, yo, man, this dude's a big man. Like he's only about 6'2", 6'3". Exactly. Like he gonna have to play Division II. So I'm like, man, listen, man. So I said, like, look, with all due respect, I gotta take my talents elsewhere. And it was a hard decision because you wanted to stay loyal to the Hill League because the Hill League was it. But I was like, this is an opportunity for me. And you know what the kids say now, I laugh, man, because it's a great saying, man, and it's real. I had to bet on myself. You know what I mean? I said, listen, man, I know that I'm better than what I'm being perceived, but I got to showcase it at the right time. So that year I played with Positive Image Point Breeze, and we lost to Kobe and them, you know what I mean, in the championship game. But I had such a great tournament that they said, look, man, this dude had – like I had a game against the Sunny Hill Sophomores where I had 35 at halftime. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't even play in the second half as a punishment because, you know, I played with Philly USA in another tournament, and they were both my guys, like Charles Monroe, Shube, that was my old head, you know what I mean, and Mr. Bill and Lawrence. But it was like, yo, who am I playing with? All right, I'm going to play with them this week because I wanted to play with both because I wanted to, you know, spread the love because we're all from the same neighborhood trying to do the same thing. Of course. You know what I mean? So as a punishment, Lawrence and Mr. Bill sat me the second half of that game, but I had 35 at halftime. And that was like the first game. And, you know, it was like my coming out party. Like I had 7 threes, you know what I'm saying, in the half, had 35 at halftime. And they played me like the first 3-4 minutes of that game and set because we were winning by so much. They was like, look, man, let some of these other guys get in. And we're going to punish you because you didn't play with us in that tournament. And we wound up winning the Delaware shootout the next week. With Positive Image, and we only had 8 men, you know what I mean, and we played everybody, man. So those 2 weekends, I went from like a top 120, 130 player to a top 30 player in the country in 2 weekends. Wow. In 2 tournaments. So because we played against, you know, everybody that, everybody that you could name in that era we played. Like, whether it was Rip and Kobe, whether it was Tim Thomas, whether it was the DC guys, the New York guys, we played everybody.
And what tournament was that?
The Delaware Shootout is the tournament we won, and then we played in the Donofrio Classic. So that was a live event. Donofrio was live at that point. So, coaches could come to that. So,
of course. Yep.
it was Donofrio one week, but the week before was the Delaware Shootout. So we had won the Delaware Shootout. It was like 80-something teams in the shootout, and we won it, the whole thing. We beat DC Assault in the championship. And then that next week, it was the Donofrio Classic. So after Donofrio, I was like a top 35 player in the country. You know what I mean? And 2 weekends. That's crazy. So that was kind of like my coming out party, man. And I was on a mission, man. I worked hard on my game. What I really had to perfect is like my shot. You know what I mean? Because I pretty much played with the ball my whole life. Even when I was at St. Charles or St. Phillips, like I would get the rebound and just go coast to coast. I would have to whip it behind my back, do all that. So I was comfortable with that. But I still played inside. You know what I mean? But I always had the matchup. So after that weekend, I came back to Roman, and now, I'm a top 30 player. And then Coach Sutton, I never forget this practice, man. He came in and he was just like, "Yo, man, we were at his this is my senior year after we had lost to Carroll in the chip, and we had our first practice of the season, and we was at Cohocks, which was his recreation center in the Northeast, and I think it was Port Richmond. So he brought us in the circle. He was like, Donnie, he was like, listen, man, look around. Like, he put me right on the spot. He was like, look around. He was like, what do you see? I said, I see my team, my guys. He was like, yeah, but it's no Arthur Davis. It's no Larry Kettner. You know what I mean? It's no Tamir Harbin. Like, those guys are gone. RC's a pure point guard. You got these young guys. Rasul was still young at the time. He said, you got these young guys, man. He was like, at the end of the day, he was like, if you don't average 25 or more, we have no chance of winning the championship. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, yo, how does this dude know I can average 25? I've never averaged 25 in my life. You know what I'm saying? So now you're telling me I got to average 25 a game. And it's like, it was always like, Roman had balanced scoring attack. Like, my junior year, me, Ya, and Larry averaged all 14 points a game. You know what I mean? Then we had guys averaging 11, 10, 9. You know what I mean? Yep. Now you're telling me I got to average 25. But, I accepted the challenge. I said, you know what? I know Coach, he's a special coach. If he believes I can do it, then I can do it. And if that's what it takes for me to win a championship, then that's what I'm going to do. And that was really, that summer and my senior year was like really Donnie Carr, the scoring machine. That's when that developed. Because before then,
that's when that version of you was born.
That's when it was born. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't that. It was all about winning championships. It was all about playing a complete game all around. Like, that was my game. You know what I mean? But it came back to what my mentor said. It was like, if this is what the team needs you to do, then that's what you got to do.
Exactly.
So then, like I said, that year we lost our first game of the season. We won 28 games in a row. We won every game in the city. We won every game until the end of the year. We went undefeated in the Catholic League, ran through the playoffs, and we were champions, man. And we accomplished our mission, man, which was the win. We had to come back and redeem ourselves because that didn't sit well. We were going to be remembered as the group that broke the chain. You know what I mean? Right. String of championships. So we were on a mission that year, and we got there, man. And then, I had over 200 scholarship offers, man. When I became a top 30 player. Wow. And it was unbelievable, man. Like, everybody in the ACC besides Duke, Carolina, and UVA recruited me. I got recruited hard. Rick Barnes was at Clemson at the time. He wanted me bad. Pat Kennedy was at Florida State. He wanted me bad. You know what I mean? Gary Williams was at Maryland. Maryland was at ACC. Terrell Stokes, again, a guy that, was a big part of my success. On the AAU scene, that was my AAU backcourt mate. He was like, yo, come on over, man. You know what I mean? We can do this. So it was like, and then everybody in the Big East, Jim Boeheim and, Bob Knight recruited me at Indiana. It was
pick of the litter, like. The whole
Yeah,
world.
man, I had over 200 offers, man. But back then, the Sunny Hill League was so influential, and we had so many great, you know, mentors and leaders. It was just like, yo, man, you're never going to be as good as big as you are in your hometown as you are in your hometown. He was like, you mean to tell me, like, this is my mentors telling me, Claude Groves, you mean to tell me that you bigger than Rydell Simmons? Like, this guy scored 3,000 points, third most in NCAA history, 1,500 rebounds. You know what I'm saying? 7th pick in the draft, college player of the year. Oh, you better than, you know, Doug Overton or Randy Woods, you know, or Aaron McKee. Like, you know, like, you don't have to go nowhere to reach your dream, man. You can do that right here. And, you know, back then, that was really the narrative, man. If you think about that era, nobody left the city. Nobody. Like, it was only a handful of guys. You know, Rasheed Wallace, Terrell Stokes. That was about it that really left. You know what I mean? Everybody else stayed home, man. And the Big Five was unbelievable. You know what I mean? Yeah. But, you know, going into college, man, I heard so many guys say, you know what, man, you you going up in levels, so it's like, yo.
Hey, Ruru, if we can real quick, pause there.
Go ahead.
What John Linehan say? He was definitely the scoring machine, most efficient player I ever seen in high school, no doubt. Shout out to the legend, John Linehan.
And yo, let me tell you one thing about John Linehan.
Yes.
Didn't want to see that guy, man. That guy was a nightmare. The best, and it's a consensus. He's the best defensive player, and that I know. Plain and simple as that. That dude. It was like you would have nightmares about John Linehan, man. Like, it was like you saw 2 or 3 of them. It was like 3 guys. It was 3 John Linehans on the court. Like, everywhere you turned, he was there. You know
Funny thing, Sean Colson last night was saying the same exact
Yo, man, that dude. I didn't even when he guarded me, I'm giving the ball up and I'm going in the post. Get it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even gonna play with this dude. Like I gotta go to my advantage. I'm not playing with the ball. And, you know, back in our day, man, it was all about the moves. Like, you know, the Tim Hardaway, the Pooh Allen, and you know what I'm saying? All these different moves. And I had all of them in my repertoire. Yeah. I wasn't playing with John like that at all. Like, come get this ball. And if he want to guard me, I got to go on the post. Forget it. I'm not even going to play with this dude. You know what I'm saying? Funny. That dude, man.
Hey, speaking of other high school legends, I wanted to go back a little bit before we talk about the high school, before we talk about the college stuff.
Yeah.
It's 2 things I want you to elaborate on. First is the summer leagues. Like, you kind of breezed by. You mentioned, you know, it's some young kids on here, so I really want you to put in perspective, like, some of the players you played against, some of the memorable experiences and stuff like that. So first, talk about the leagues and the tournaments you were in a little bit more, and be specific and tell me, like, you know, some of the players you played against. Like, tell me about the Kobe experiences and all that. And then high school, like when you played against Lower Marion, Kobe again, and break that down. But first, talk about the leagues and the tournaments and stuff like that.
So, like I said, back then, the Sunny Hill League was it. The Sunny Hill League was it, man. You really didn't have to go. And again, it was like, I don't know, what is it, like almost a 75 AAU teams when you talk about, like, the little teams and everything's broken down at age. Like, back when I was coming up, it wasn't no age. It wasn't no age. AAU, if you was in 9th grade, 9th through 12th was AAU.
Yes.
And it was the best of the best.
That's
you know what I'm saying? It was 15 spots.
Yep.
That's it. That's all you had. And it was only 3 AAU teams. It was Philadelphia Freedom with Flacco. It was Point Breeze Positive Image, and it was Huntington Park. They were the 3 AAU teams in Philadelphia. Yep. So at the end of the day, you played for one of those. And Flacco wasn't really Philly. He was kind of national. He would go get guys from all over the place. So it was only 2 in the city. You know what I mean? And so now, you know, back then it was only the three big tournaments was Charlie Weber, which was at the University of Maryland's campus. And, you know, that was my first time playing against Tim Thomas.
Wow.
Who was different, man. He was special. He was like, I tell people, he was like Randy Moss, man. He played when he wanted to play, but he was 6'10", and he was everything you wanted, man. Like, he was inside, outside. He can do everything a guard can do at 6'1", 6'2". crazy handle, unbelievable body, quick, athletic. You know what I mean? Stretch muscles, explosive. He was a freak, man. But nationally, it wasn't too many people I didn't play against. I played against Steph Marbury. I played against Wayne Turner. I played against Joe Smith, Rasheed Wallace, Kevin Garnett, Ronnie Fields.
Wow.
Who am I leaving out, man? Everybody, man. Like,
what's some of your most memorable experiences or memories that you have in any of those games against any of those guys? That's something that comes to mind.
Well, we played against Kevin Garnett, who, I mean, him and Kobe were the best two high school players I ever played against, obviously, Kevin Garnett and Kobe. But I never forget this, man. And Larry, God rest his soul, man. You know what I mean? We're playing against Garnett, and this is when Garnett's about to make the jump. You know what I mean? Like,
straight to the league.
Straight to the league was unheard of. It hadn't been done in 30 years. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, we're number 4 in the country. We're number 6 in the country. They're number 4. And
this was like an AAU, like a tournament team, or high school.
That's a high school game. It's a high school game. So
so y'all played. That was Farragut.
That was Farragut against Roman Catholic.
Oh, yo,
95.
Ronnie Fields, Kevin Garnett. They had a kid with the last name White, who was big time too.
They had Michael Dickerson that went to Arizona.
Yeah.
He was a freshman.
That's what it was. Freshman.
Yeah,
was real good.
Yeah, he was a beast, man.
Wow. Roman versus Farragut. Yo.
So we played number 6 against number 4, and and Ron Artest was the other dude. Like, it's two dudes that was the best defensive players I've ever seen. John Linehan and Ron Artest. That was another guy I played against. So now we're at DePaul University, and we're the showcase game. So we get there now. We fly in, and we on our way back to the hotel. They got the Farragut guys on a radio station in Chicago.
Oh.
So Garnett.
Because I mean, the Chicago. They Chicago.
Yeah, it's real. So it's real, man. And so we get there, man, and they hyping the game up. We the showcase game. So now we get there. You know how it is if it's a playoff game and the girls are playing. You get there like halftime of the girls' game to watch a little bit. So we get there before the game before us. So we all go we go into the hallway, and I never forget this, man. So we're in the hallway. It's me. It's our whole team. We're circled in the hallway, circled up, just trying to, soak in the atmosphere. And we see this dude in all black, hoodie tied all the way down. You know what I'm saying? He walking with his head down. And nobody don't know. It's like, yo, who is this dude walking down the hallway with all black on, with a hoodie on, tied up? It was Kevin Garnett. So he walking down the hallway, he got his head down, right? So when he get right in front of us, because he knew, because we had a uniform, we had to wear our Roman Catholic sweaters and all that. You know what I'm saying? So we were dressed, at the game or whatever like that. I think we had our sweatsuits on.
Okay.
So now he gets in front of us, and he never looked at nobody. He just lift his head up, and he ain't looking at nobody. He just lift his head up, and he like, which one of y'all Larry Kettner? So Ronnie and Larry standing there, so he knew who Larry was. So Larry was like a schoolboy, man. He raised his hand like he like me. And I'm like, yo. So he never acknowledged Larry. He put his head back down and stepped off, like walked away, like, all right. I'm like, yo. So now we're in a warm-up. I mean, Larry was spooked, man. I'm like, and if I was Larry, I'd probably have been spooked too, man, because this dude was different.
Yo.
So now
this is unbelievable.
So now I think it was the on-campus. We were on that on-campus arena. It's like 6,000 people. It's every NBA team in the league is there to see Garnett. So it was packed. GMs, you know what I'm saying? Every GM in the NBA there. So now everybody's standing up. Y'all hype. He's like, yo, Kevin Garnett, meet Larry Kettner. You know what I'm saying? It's about to go down. You know what I'm saying? You ain't never seen, like, what we about to bring to you, this, that, and the third. So Larry like, yo, man, be quiet. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, chill. So at the end of the day, man, we tip off. So now coach was like, listen, man, we want to establish inside. You know what I'm saying? We want to establish, we want to go inside to start the game. So the first couple possessions, we get a ball of Larry. And Larry nervous, man, because this dude is different, man. So
how tall was Larry? How tall was
Larry was 6'9". Larry was a freak, man. And honestly, and we all say this, man, Larry was, if Larry had Mark Jackson's mind and toughness and heart, he would have been a Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying? No doubt about it. But Mark didn't have his body and his athleticism. You know what I mean? So now, long story short, man, in that game, man, Garnett did this one move that was unbelievable. So coach said, listen, we're going to play 2-3 zone because they don't have no shooters. So everyone on the team has to have a foot inside the lane, at least one foot inside the lane. So if you're a point guard, at the 3-point line, we're guarding our guards at the foul line. Yeah. If you're a wing, we want your foot inside the lane. So now Garnett grabs the ball on the right block. He on the left block if you're facing the court. He on the left block. So now we got Ronnie Conway in the game, 6'9", and Larry 6'9". But Larry playing the 4 and Ronnie playing the center. So when Garnett grabbed the ball on the block, he leaning towards the middle, like he on his left foot pivot. He leaning towards the middle, like he was about to shoot a jump hook in the middle. So he leaning towards the middle, and he did a quick spin baseline, and it was so fast Larry couldn't move. If he had moved, he'd have fell. By the time Larry got a chance to turn his head, he had quick spin Larry and sidewinded on Ronnie, all in one motion. I've never seen this in my life. And he had these dudes from Chicago that was front row. It's like, yo, I bet you Philly dudes they wasn't saying Philly dudes. You know what they were saying. Yeah. I bet you dudes never seen a spin move and sidewinder like that. That's KG, you know what I'm saying? And we was just in awe, man. I never forget this dude's stat line. This dude he was 12 for 14 from the field. He had 28 points, 18 rebounds, 8 blocks, 8 assists, and 5 steals, man. Wow. And he played all 5 positions. You know what I'm saying? Wow. And he was doing stuff he was coming up underneath the zone. Like he would be on the short corner and he would flash to the high post. They would just throw the ball up because he was we had guards like me and whoever was there. They would just throw it up. And before his feet hit the ground, the pass was gone. And he was throwing passes through our zone, which everybody was hitting Michael Wright on the baseline for dunks. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Dude was unbelievable, man.
Hey, pause 1 second. I forgot to mention at the top of the hour. Instagram gives us hour chunks to talk. So it's giving me a little 2-minute countdown now. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna end this one, save it, and then I'm gonna start a new one in 30 seconds or a minute. We'll just rejoin me. We're gonna pick up right there where we are right now.
That's cool.
Everybody, if you're listening, you are now listening to the sounds of the legend Donnie Carr telling unbelievable Kevin Garnett stories. Everybody jump right back on. We're gonna continue. Thank you, Donnie. This is crazy, dog.
Yes, it's unreal, man. He was different, man. Yeah, for sure.
Hey, we back part 2 with my man Donnie Carr, the legend, Roman Catholic high school legend, man. He just was telling a story about Roman Catholic versus Farragut. If you know anything about Farragut, that's Kevin Garnett, Ronnie Fields, legendary stories, man. Donnie, just like I thought, he's an amazing storyteller, man. So, we're going to continue telling the stories. He's going to, continue to, talk about the tournaments and all that kind of stuff. High school days and all that. Then he's gonna, jump into the college experience. Here we go. Hey, so the last thing you said, so you were just talking about, so pick up right where you left off. You were talking about the Farragut Roman Catholic, Kevin Garnett, Ronnie Shore, but you were just talking about Kevin Garnett and the spin and all that. Just continue right there.
Yep. And just he was unbelievable, man. He was different, man. Like he was playing. He brought the ball up. He was throwing Magic Johnson passes. He was blocking people's stuff, keeping it in play. Sometimes he was throwing people's shots into the eighth row, and he was just the unbelievable thing about him, man, is he was so wiry and long and athletic and
Yeah,
quick. He was a guy that honestly, man, he was switching out like on me and Yah and was able to keep us in front of him. Like
yeah,
it was like, yo, man, like y'all ain't going nowhere. Like what? You know what I mean?
yeah.
And he just impacted the game in so many aspects. He dominated that game, man, and
And
showed
I think I
people.
remember he was mean, like had an attitude. He
Yeah,
was
man, he
nasty
was
as
he was
well.
he was different, man. And at the end of the day, you talking about a guy that was the ultimate, trash talker. He was that. But the one thing I respected about him, man, is I never forget after the game, he hugged me and Yah. I think Yah led us in scoring that game. Yah had about like 20, 25. I had like 20. And we only lost by 4. He was like, man, if y'all that got, a better game from y'all big man, and I know he much better than what he played today.
Of course, yeah,
He was
yeah.
like, y'all would have won that game. So,
That was
it was
love.
one of
That
them
was love.
things, man. But the thing that I respected about him is I'll never forget. So after the game, they had pizzas for us and all that. They was interviewing us, and he made his like this newspaper reporter out there. I forget the paper. He was begging Garnett for an interview. And he was like, I'm not going to interview you until you interview that freshman right there. He was the star of the game. You got to give him an interview. I want him to
Yeah,
get some ink. And that was just the type of dude he was, man. He was, and I was just like, wow, man, that's thorough, man.
that's
Like,
dope. That's
I know
honorable,
you want
man.
Garnett. I know you want my coach, but I'm gonna make sure you get my young guy. You know what I'm
Of
saying?
course,
Because he's gonna be up and coming. You're gonna have to remember him. So talk to him now. You know what I
that's
mean?
dope. That's
But no,
dope.
he was thorough, man. And another story I'll give you, man. So we played DeMatha, who was #1 in the country that year,
Wow.
and we beat him at American U.
Uh-huh.
And it was a tournament. I never forget, man. This is the best game I ever seen Yah Davis play.
Mm.
Because his dream school was Duke, and my
Okay.
dream school was Carolina. So it was like, yo, if Carolina, I don't care who offer, but if they offer, I'm going. You know what I'm saying? I want to go to Carolina. You know what I mean? So now we playing, and I never forget this. We're in the warm-up line. We playing against DeMatha.
And who did Mather have at the time?
They had Mike Pegues. They had Greg Costello. They had this kid that went to Virginia. His name was damn. I forget his name. Darryl Presley or something like that. They had, and Keith Bogans and Joe Forte was young. They were on the team, but they didn't play.
Gotcha.
They played the next year. But the Master, they was #1 in the country. They had a legendary coach, Morgan Wooten. They were well coached. They were just really good. And so we're playing them, and I'll never forget in the warm-up line, I just happened to look up in the stands as I'm running back to half court, and I saw Coach K.
Wow.
So I ran behind y'all. I said, man, your man up there. You know what I'm saying? He's like, where? He's like, man, it's on. You know what I'm saying? Now, this was Yah's first game as a Roman Catholic. It's his second game in the Roman Catholic uniform. So, he had transferred over from Glen Mills because he was in Glen Mills. Then
That's
he had
right. He
came
was at
home,
Glen correct.
and
Yep.
then he wanted to go to Roman. So now, DeMatha was focused on me. Like, yo, Donnie, he their best perimeter player. So they put their best guy on me, and and they put somebody on Yah. I forget who they put on Yah. Man, I never forget. Yah might have been like 14 for 15 from the field this game.
Wow.
And I mean, he hit everything from step back threes to Tim Hardaway crossover. By the time they understood who Yah was, he already had 20.
Wow.
Like early, and he did
And I
it.
guess the scouting report, they couldn't get the scouting report going because he was
Nah, because they didn't know him.
Yeah.
They didn't know him, man. He put on a show. He scored in every way imaginable, like runners, you know what I mean, step backs, crossovers, like, I mean, highlight reel, you know what I mean? And so it was a classic game I'll never forget. So now we were down one, and you know, we had a track star who was unbelievable. He was like one of our best defenders. His name was Will McKnight. He was the fastest guy on the team. So we needed Will to go in the end. So coach drew up a great play at the end of the game. It was like off of a missed foul shot, but it was like, all right, we're gonna do this when we miss. Put the ball in Will's hand. You know, it was like a fake handoff, and you know, we spread the floor out, and Will just hit a shot at the buzzer, and we just was all in jubilation, like running. You know, I think I knocked over our assistant coach, who everybody was happy because he was a great coach, but he would always get on everybody's nerve, and I didn't knock him over, you know, intentionally, but everybody was so ecstatic, like we was ran and we was knocking each other over, and we had beat the Mather, and you know, we were I think at the time we were number 3 in the country, and we had beat them, and that's leading me to my story. So the next game we had played against God Sham God, who wound up going to Providence. He had I mean, he had the best handle I've ever seen in my life. You know what I mean? Like he would do.
This was down at that same.
It was the next day. It was at American U. It was the same tournament.
Did y'all know? Did you know that y'all was going up against him, or you didn't know?
Well, we didn't know who we were going to play because we had to beat the Mather. You know what I mean? And we beat the Mather, and we played LaSalle Academy. They had Kareem Sabaz, who was like 7-footer, and they had God Sham God and Ron Artest.
Oh.
So now, I told you that was the best game I ever seen y'all play. So now LaSalle, like, all right, well, this is the guy that, you know what I'm saying, we got to put Ron on. And I've never seen this in my life, man. I've never seen somebody. This dude was built like the Incredible Hulk.
Who, Ron Artest?
Ron Artest was like, in person, he was built like the Incredible Hulk. Like, I'm not lying. And so now, like, he had a nappy head, like he was mean, like he didn't smile. Like after warm-ups, like we're circling up for the tip-off, he came over and elbowed Yah from the door. Boom, I got him. You know what I'm saying? Like he was in his jersey from the rip.
Yo!
So now they put a guy on me, and I wound up having an unbelievable. I think I had 25 the next game. It was an easy 25. But at the end of the day, man, Yah had 2 points that game against Ron Artest.
Wow.
And I've never seen nothing like this. This dude, I told you, he was built like the Incredible Hulk. Like his muscles, he had muscles coming out of his ears. He didn't have an ounce of fat on his body. So now he is, and y'all had the quickest first step that in our era. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody talk about the game where, you know, I played against Kobe, and it was multiple games, but it was just one game, just a little quick, you know what I'm saying, another story. It was just one game where Yah and Kobe went head up at Villanova. You know what I'm saying? And they both had over 40. You know what I'm saying? And it was an unbelievable game.
Was that a school game or like a tournament?
No, it was a showcase.
Oh,
it was a showcase at Villanova. It was just a showcase. And so now Yah had 40. But he hit Kobe with this one move, right? At the top of the key. He hit him with a jab crossover because Yah's first step was so crazy. And Kobe jumped from one. Kobe was at one elbow and Yah was at the other elbow. And that was just an example of Yah quickness in his first step. You know what I'm saying? So now that brings me back to Ron Artest. Ron Artest was glued to Yah's jersey, like white on rice. I'm not BSing you, man. I mean, he was so close to Yah he could kiss him. That's how close he was. And when I tell you, he beat Yah to every spot that Yah tried to beat, like every spot he tried. If he tried to, you know, quick jab and go right, he beat him to the spot. If he tried to, you know, jab crossover and go left, he beat him to the spot. And all I remember Yah saying, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he holding me, he grabbing me. Every time he would beat him to the spot, he would put his chest out and bang him. And y'all was like lean and you know, and long, like, you know what I'm saying? He didn't have a developed body, but he was, you know, he had a nice body, but you know, Ron was like something different.
Crazy.
And when I said I never seen nobody built like that, that had lateral quickness, like Ron Artest, and his hand speed and his foot speed was unreal.
Wow.
And all I could say to myself, man, this is the one guy I was like, yo, man, I'm glad he wasn't guarding me. I'm not BSing you. Because when he was doing, I'm like, yo, how is he beating y'all to every spot on the floor? And he was using his hands, and all he kept saying, stop bitching, boom, chesting, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, yo, man, but they wound up upsetting us that next day, which we fell back down. That's when we played Garnett and them a couple weeks later. But we could have been number one in the country had we won that game. But they upset us.
How did Sham guy do? How was his performance? What do you remember?
He was breaking our press by himself. So like we were pressing. I've never seen this. He had us running into each other.
Like bang, colliding.
Like running into each other, like putting the ball into spots. We're thinking the ball there. He's snatching it back. And listen, he was getting the ball on the end line and waving his teammates down like, go ahead, I got it. Go ahead. He didn't pass it. Like, you know, you want to get the ball up the floor. You know what I'm saying? You want to get it up the floor, like, but he was just showing us like, like, are y'all out of your mind trying to press me? And it was like, yo, he was literally having us running into each other like, yo, what did he just do with the ball? The ball was just there, like, unbelievable stuff. That's the first time I saw a person, like, he was doing this move where his knees was touching the floor.
Yes.
But running at you with speed and pace.
I remember he did that in the McDonald's All-American game.
Yo, man, like he was doing all of these tricks, like throwing the ball out, daring somebody to go reach for it. Like he was doing crazy stuff, man.
Yo,
and it was classic, man. He put on a show. He controlled the whole game. That's how they won. With Ron Artest's defense and him just controlling the whole game. Like, we couldn't press him, you know what I mean? And we were trying to get the ball out of his hands, and he was like, yo, I'm not passing. Like, y'all can't make me pass this ball. I'd never seen this in my life, man. It was unreal,
so
man.
Get into, tell me all of your most memorable Kobe Bryant stories, like playing against him, you know, Lower Merion. Tell me some Bean stories.
Bean was the best, man. Bean was the best, man. Bean is, first of all, his dad deserves all the credit, man. His dad was the genius behind closed doors that just, you know, he gave Kobe the blueprint. He gave Kobe a roadmap to success. Now, Kobe had to do the work. So that it was like the perfect marriage. You know what I mean? Because his dad had all the information. You know what I mean? And the funny thing about it was we had it was an interesting dynamic because Kobe's dad was an assistant coach at LaSalle. And he was a huge reason why I you know, passed up all these big time schools to go to LaSalle. He was like, Donnie, and this is what he told me. He said, yo, man, if whatever level you think you should go to, just go a level under and dominate. Like yeah, you can go to the ACC. Yeah, you can go to the Big East, but why not just come to the A-10 and just dominate? You know what I mean? And be a big fish in a small pond. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was like, you know, that dawned on me. You know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, man, his dad had the game sold up, man. And you know, it goes all the way back to when Kobe. I'll give you a funny story, man. So the first time I ever saw Kobe Bryant, this dude had goggles on. he had 2 knee pads. He had two elbow pads. And I'm like, yo, who is this dude? I'm like, yo, they saying that this dude better than me?
Looking like Steve Urkel or something.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, this dude, like, he can't be better than me. Like, oh, man, they just hyping him up because he's Joe Bryant's son. And me and y'all took offense to that. And we were, like, taking turns on Kobe because Kobe, he was, like, upright and he couldn't bend down. Like, he had problems, like, getting low. And everybody know in basketball, the low man wins.
Yes.
So we getting up underneath him. We dictating his movements. And he talked about that, you know, in his retirement speech where, you know, like he couldn't score on us.
Uh-huh.
And we were like laughing, like, yo, man, like wasn't nobody saying it to us face, like, yo, this dude is overhyped. He's not that. You know what I'm saying? Like they just hyping him up because he Joe Bryant's son. You know what I'm saying? Yo, he came back the next summer. This dude was quick. This dude was athletic. This dude was making the basketball talk. And it's just like, yo, did you see what Kobe just did? So it went from like us like making him a laughing stock to like, yo, did you see what that dude just did with the ball? Did you see him just turn backwards on that oop and put it between his legs, or go baseline and come out the other side, or that crossover? So now, funny, my most memorable Bean story, man, I'll never forget. So everybody talked about the game at Drexel, right, when me and Kobe played against each other. That was not the game. And I know that for a lot of people, that was the game. So the funny part, the funny story was Kobe. So we're walking into NBA camp. This is the first year they came out with the NBA camp. And at the time, Kobe Bryant was the #3 player in the country. Tim Thomas was #1. Lester Earl was #2. Kobe was #3. And somebody walked up behind me and put their arm around me and was like, yo, man, yo, Don, what's up? So I look around, it's Kobe. He's like, oh, man. He's like, listen, man, you my guy. Because we were on the Sunny Hill League teams, like, you know what I mean, the Sunny Hill All-Stars. We would, you know, dip off from McGonigal, go to Roy Rogers and hit up the food spots, bust it up, call each other on the phone. We were good, you know what I mean? And he was like, yo, you my guy, man. And like I said, his dad was recruiting me to LaSalle. So it was an interesting dynamic. And a lot of people thought before he, you know, became #1 and made that jump, he could wind up going to LaSalle.
Okay. Wow.
So, and that was like a recruiting tool that his dad was using. Like, yo, you and my son can come in and do this together.
Yo,
you know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
So now he's like, listen, man. He was like, we walking into the camp. He was like, Don. He was like, I know, because all they gave us was fans. They didn't give us no TVs, and they wanted us to befriend each other. They wanted us to network, and I made relationships that day that lasted me a lifetime, man. Like two of my closest friends in the world, man, is Shea Cotton, who was honestly, that dude was Zion Williamson before Zion Williamson. Like I used to try to describe who Shea Cotton was, because he was like Larry Johnson. He was like, this dude was on the cover of Sports Illustrated in 9th grade. You know what I'm saying?
I remember him.
And he was 6'5", like 230, with no fat. He was all muscle. And, you know, he was just unique. Like, if you tried to foul him, like, your hand would fly off him. He would, like, go over 3 people and dunk. He was like Zion Williamson. I'm not lying. But back then, it was like, yo, what position does he play? Like, who, what is he? You know what I'm saying? And he was just different. So I met Shea Cotton and a Lamar Odom. We hung out that whole weekend, man. Those dudes were, like, right across the hall from me and right next door. And we were like sharing, like I'm sharing Philly stories, Shea sharing LA stories, Lamar sharing, you know, New York stories. And we were friends to this day, man. Like we all keep in contact, like to this day. And that was the whole purpose of that NBA camp. But Kobe was on something different. He said, listen, man, he hugged me. He was like, listen, don't come to my room. He's like, you my guy. He's like, I don't want you to take this no type of way, man. He was like, don't come to my room. I'm not coming to your room, and I'm not making friends with nobody. He was like, I'm leaving this camp, the #1 player in the country.
Wow.
And what he did, I don't know if he was in this room meditating. I don't know if he was doing dips and pull-ups. I don't know what he was doing. He was like, I'm only coming out to play basketball. That's the only time you're going to see me. I'm not doing anything else. Like when, you know, they made us like do inclusive stuff, like get in groups and, you know, stuff that we had.
Team building,
stuff like that. They made us do that. And he was participating in that. But when we broke off from that, he went right back to his room. You know what I'm saying? And I never forget, Lamar Odom's team and his team played in the championship game. And at one point, it was like, yo, like LO was different. Like I seen this dude get a rebound. He smacked the ball against the glass. he got low, like he's 6'9", 6'10". He grabbed the rebound, smack it off the glass. He get low like Sham got, and at half court, he came up out of the dribble and threw a no-look pass from half court to a dude cutting. I'm like, yo, this dude is sick. But I didn't realize the dude was a point guard. Okay. Before he grew 7 inches in one summer. He was a point guard.
Of course, yep.
So I'm like, yo, and Shaheem was something like, yo, check my young boy out. Shaheem Holloway was saying this to me, like, yo, he different, check him out. When he did that, I'm like, yo, how did he do that? So, long story short, they're playing in the championship game, and LO's team is hanging in, like LO's showing like, yo, man, because you know LO was only in, you know, a rising 10th grader, him and Shea Cotton, and so like now it was like, yo, like LO right there. Kobe had to have like 35 in the second half. They blew the doors open. He won MVP of the camp. He left #1 in the country, and he did it. You know what I'm saying? And that like he had the rare combination of will to be great, basketball IQ, talent, you know what I'm saying? Competitive spirit, like all of these were unmatched. Like his will to be great was unmatched. His competitive spirit unmatched. His basketball IQ from his dad. Like his dad used to shout things out to him in Italian. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, only Kobe would understand it. And Kobe would just go right to it. You know what I mean? And he was the perfect basketball player. Like if you were like on a computer trying to like diagram the perfect NBA shooting guard, it was Kobe Bryant.
Yes.
with all the things he had in this rare combination, because you had guys that had the talent but didn't have the work ethic, didn't have the IQ. You had guys that, you know, had the IQ but didn't have the talent. You know what I'm saying? He had the rare combination of all that coupled in one, man. Crazy. And I'll never forget, so back to the Plymouth White Marsh. So now, this is when he became the #1 player in the country. So Plymouth White Marsh was the summer league that Roman Catholic was in, Chester was in, Plymouth White Marsh was in, Lower Merion, Cheltenham, and like a couple other schools. So we would go up against each other a couple times a summer. So now, like I told you, me and Ronnie Conway, we were supposed to be the #2 team in the country, determined after that '95 year when Larry had graduated. We were projected in Street and Smith to be, that was the big magazine back in the day.
Yeah, before
Street and Smith was it.
Street and Smith magazine, of course. Yeah.
And everybody got Street and Smith. The first thing they did was see who was ranked in the country in terms of the schools, and then they went back to the back to see if they were honorable mention All-American.
That's right.
You know, what were their ratings and all that. You know what I mean? All-American, honorable mention. So now we're supposed to be #2. So and Ronnie had transferred, right? So we're planning to play. This is the first time we're about to play against Kobe Bryant in the Plymouth White Marsh. Now Kobe had just became the #1 player in the country, and everybody in the country wanted Kobe. Everybody, Coach K, you know what I'm saying, Rick Pitino, Steve Fisher at Michigan, you know what I mean. John. Now come to find out, Kobe was practicing against the Sixers, against Jerry Stackhouse and Eddie Jones and Aaron. And I'm hearing the stories are like, he killing these dudes. He ain't just out there, like he murdering these dudes. So now,
crazy.
So now it's like, yo, we about to play. So I'll never forget this, man. I'm on the phone. And back then, you know what I'm saying? You know, it wasn't like cell phones and all that. It was, you know, we had beepers. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's right.
So now they had just came out with the big stupid flip cell phones, but like I didn't even have it because I was a kid. So long story short, this is summertime. We play Kobe and them the next day. So I'm on the phone with my girlfriend, my high school sweetheart. I'm talking to her on the phone, right? So then my other line beep. So I click over. He like, yo, Don, what's up, man? What's going on? So I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, who this? He's like, no, it's Bean. It's Bean. It's cold, man. What's going on? I'm like, I'm chilling, Bean. What's going on, man? What's going on? He like, yo, man, I got a quick question for you, man. He said, is Yah Davis coming to the game tomorrow? So now my antenna's up because he fishing. I'm like,
Yeah.
why he running about with y'all? I was like, I don't know why. He is like, now mind you, I told you we used to make fun of Cole. Like, this dude ain't this dude ain't that.
Yeah.
He was like, man, you know, if you come to the game and it's y'all and it's, you know, it's you and y'all and it's me, man, we probably gonna get that on, man. You and y'all up against me. But he was like, if it's just you, I don't even know if it's worth me coming. So I'm like, I double take. I'm like, what?
Wait, I just noticed how he was saying, yeah, if it's you and y'all against me, it's gonna be.
Yeah, we gonna get it in. We gonna get it in. Like, yo, like y'all two against me, like we gonna get it on. You know what I'm saying? But if it's just you, now let's think back. We go from making fun of this dude to like him saying, like, yo, remember y'all two dudes? And this is the type of dude he was. He was forever creating challenges for himself. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And doing things that was like next level.
Yes.
Like, and he finally came up with the name, the Mamba mentality, but he been on that. Like, he didn't have a name for it, but back then, he was like, yo, like, if you just coming, it ain't even worth me coming. So now I forget I'm talking to my girlfriend. I just hang up the phone. Boom! So I make this loud noise in my house, and my sister and my brother-in-law run into the room like, yo, what's going on? And I'm like, yo, that motherfucker, man, this dude, Kobe gets caught. They like, calm down. I'm like, no. I'm like, F that. No. Like, they like, calm down. I'm like, man, this dude talking about if y'all ain't coming to the game and if it's just me, it ain't even worth me coming. And me and Cole, cool. Like, yeah, my number, we talk on the phone, all that.
Yes.
So I never forget, man, I called my assistant coach because our head coach said, coach, now mind you, Cole was setting me up the whole time. He knew that Rick Pitino was going to be in the stands. He knew that Coach K was going to be in the stands, Steve Fisher, like, you know, the who's who of college basketball, and John Lucas was coming to the game. I didn't know all this.
Okay.
They all on his line, you know what I'm saying? So now I called my coach out. I'm like, listen, I was like, I want to guard Kobe. You know what I'm saying? I told him what happened. He was like, Donnie, it's a summer league game. He was like, we don't care about you fouling out. He's like, we're going to let y'all go head up. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Let everybody know that you just as good as him, if not better. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we get to the game, like, my palms sweating. I'm hyped. I'm like, yo, man, I can't believe this dude did this. So now we get out, and we get out there. I don't shake his hand enough. And ain't no love. Like, nah, like, dude, we enemies right now. Like, I know. Now I'm looking in the stands, and the stands is filled with coaches. It's all, you know, the top 30 coaches, and they, all the head coaches there themselves. Like, everybody that you can think of, and John Lucas. So I'm like, and he the coach of the Sixers at the time.
Wow.
I'm like, all right, cool. So now I don't shake his hand. Long story short, man, I come out, man, and this is me. Like, I always thought the game like a coach. You know what I mean? I'm always sizing my guys up. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, what is my competitive advantage, you know, against this guy? He's going to guard me. I'm going to guard him. So my trick with Kobe was, now he wound up becoming, you know what I'm saying, a 10-time first-team All-NBA defensive player. But back then, Kobe lateral movements wasn't where they were, and he was still developing and all that. You know what I mean? Even when he was athletic, his lateral movement wasn't what it became. So I'm like, if I try to go into my triple threat bag against Kobe, he got me, because he just going to use his length. He going to space me.
Put his arms out. Yeah.
Put his arms out. So now I said, you know what? I got to get a running start with everything I do at Kobe. Like, so now I come out. First play of the game, we win a tip. Kurt win the tip. He tip it back to me. Cole, like, you know, he studied Jordan to no end, right? So he in his Michael Jordan defensive stance. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's 6'6", long, athletic. He's spread out. So I'm laughing to myself. I'm like, all right, this all intimidation. Like, it's not working. I know how I got to score on you. So I ran at him like at a nice pace, and I hit him with a double in and out crossover. Boom! So he went for everything. I hit him with the in and out. He bit for the in and out. Hit him with another one. Boom! And he thought I was going to blow by him. I hit him with a crossover. Boom! So then he tried to come from behind and like swat my shit, like get that shit out of here. You know what I'm saying? Instead of me doing it, I went up and I dropped it behind his back to Kurt. And Kurt was my guy, man. I would always hook Kurt up. So I dropped it behind his back to Kurt. Kurt came behind him hollering, ah, dunked it with 2 hands. Blue! And that kind of set the tone. You know what I'm saying? I'm screaming in his face, ah! Yes. So listen, so now,
yes,
that first half, man, I hit Kobe with every move I had in the book. You know what I'm saying?
You pulled out everything.
And everything I had, I hit him with. And you know, that's what we did. We practiced moves, man. Like them New York dudes, they were special with handles. And we saw what they did, and we copied it. We went and practiced it. Sham guys, the Steph Marburys, the Skip to Malous, like we practiced what they did. You know what I'm saying? So every move I had, I hit him with, right? So I had 25 in the first half, and I'm just going off of fumes, man. I couldn't wait for this game. I couldn't sleep. My palms sweating. He had 4 at halftime.
Wait, he had 4 at halftime.
He had 4 at halftime. I had 25.
Wow.
He finished with 36.
Whoa.
And had like 12 rebounds and like 9 assists. You know what I'm saying? I finished with 29, and I had 9 and 9, right? So that was the best. That was Donnie Carr versus Kobe Bryant best game at at Plymouth Whitemarsh summertime. But he had 32 points in the second half. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. So it was pretty much flip-flop. Like
it flip-flop. But 2 moves stick out to me, right? 2 moves stick out to me. So they took Cole. So Kobe was denying me the ball in the second half. He wouldn't let me touch it. You know what I'm saying? He just kept denying me, like, because they had like help defense, and he just was face guarding me. So I'm screaming for the ball, like, give me the ball, because I touch it, I know I can score on this dude. Like, he can't guard me. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude can't guard me. So now he denying me. So I'm on like the right wing, and somebody tried to force me the ball, and he deflected it. You know what I'm saying? He deflected it. So it's 2 of our guys up top. You know what I'm saying? Because, I'm on the wing, and, we had like a 4-guard offense. So I really was like almost in the corner. So when he deflected the ball, one guy ran at the ball, right? So Kobe ran after the ball before the guy got there and whipped the ball behind his back. Right? Behind his back. So now it was 2 guys, and Jawan Justice is one of them. PG Justice, he was one of our defensive stoppers. And RC running back on defense. But when he threw the ball behind his back, he like threw the ball in front of him. Right? So when he threw the ball in front of them, they thought they can get it. So they all running after the ball. Now the dude never touched the ball with his left hand. He tipped the ball to steal it with his left hand. He whipped it behind his back with his right, and RC and Jawan running for the ball. He caught up to the ball and whipped it through the back of his legs before they got to it. And again, he threw the ball in front of him. So he had to catch up to the ball. And when he caught up to the ball, at that point, he was like right inside the foul line on the other end of the court. And he just took off. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like screaming like, ah, boom. You know what I'm saying? And he came down and looked at me like, I'm the best player on the floor, and don't forget that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm that guy. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, wow. The other move he hit me with, it was a move he hit me with, right?
Oh, man.
It's the same move that Michael Jordan hit Brian Russell with to win the NBA Finals. But the only difference was Kobe was on the right wing. He wasn't at the top. Mike was like sort of on the left. And remember, like, I would always try to get lower than Kobe. That was like when I was guarding, I'm like, yo, I'm going to get lower than him. I'm going to get lower. So now he's showing me that you're not getting lower than me. So he dropped his shoulder. I'm like, I'm on him. I know he in and out of me. Like, he got the ball in his right hand. So he in and out of me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm low. So he in and out of me. And as I try to beat him to that spot, he just rolled the crossover on me. I mean, he rolled it. And I never forget, his dad would always talk to him in Italian. You know what I'm saying? But this one particular time, he just said it in English. He was like, "Oh yeah, son." You know what I'm saying? Like just the way we worked on it. You know what I'm saying? And Cole did that, and I was flying the other way because I'm trying to beat him right, and he in and out of like he was going right and snatched it back on me, and I'm still going that way. He held it and everything, held his follow through. I was just like, yo, man. I was like, yo, man, this dude is on something else. You know what I'm saying? But he wound up finishing with 32, and we lost at the buzzer.
Wow.
And we didn't speak the whole game. We talking shit to each other. He talking this, he talking that. We didn't speak the whole game. I missed a shot at the buzzer, and I fell to the floor. He came up and picked me off the floor. He was like, man, get up. He's like, man, it's only a summer league game. He was like, you know what, man? He was like, we're going to see each other again, man. He was like, you know what, though? I love competing against you, man. You bring out the best of me, man. And I can't wait to the next one. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So at the Drexel game, and everybody saw the game, so I don't really have to go into the game.
And that was this at the Drexel game was a high school game.
Yeah, that was a high school game. That was that same year, but it was a real game. Like this was Plymouth White Marsh, Lower Merion. But before the Drexel game, we played against each other in the Donofrio Classic that same summer. Yeah. So we had a double overtime game the game before them, right? We had a double overtime game. And we played against, actually the women's coach at LaSalle, his name is Mountain McGilvery. He was the coach of the Suburban All-Stars. They had like all the Suburban good players. And it was a classic game. I'm playing it with Point Breeze Positive Images, me, Jared Curse, Yad Davis, Marvin O'Connor. We had a bomb squad. Wow. So now we played against Shaheem Holloway and Al Harrington. Al Harrington came at halftime. I'll never forget that game. He came at halftime of the game and had 25 and 10 at halftime. Al he was in ninth grade. He was a young boy.
That was the Roadrunners, right?
That was the Roadrunner, the New Jersey Roadrunners. Al Harrington came at halftime at 25 and 10, but we beat him. That was the quarterfinals. So we played against, and Shaheem Holloway did some things with the ball that game, man. Like, ridiculous. Jared might be mad for me saying this. Shaheem Holloway hit Jared. Like, remember how people used to do, like, when you look both ways and you whip the ball behind your back, like you pass him, but you pass it to yourself?
Yes.
He did that twice to Jared, right? Like, he had dudes running the wing, so he paused like he was going to, like, thought to one of them, pass it to himself. Did it again. Like he was going to pass it to it and then pass it to himself, right? So Jared, trying to play in between, like he going left, he going right, but Shah still got the ball. And he playing tricks on him. So now he get in front of Jared and hit Jared with like a triple in and out after he did that. And it looked like Floyd Mayweather hit Jared with a combination. Jared, like, going every which way. And he just got in front of the rim. Jared is lost at this point, and Shaheem is Jared underneath the rim. Shaheem laying the ball in front of his thing. I'm like, yo, did you see what he just did? Shah was doing some unbelievable stuff, man. But anyway, so now we play the Suburban All-Stars. We beat them in double overtime. It's a classic game. And
you remember anybody that may have been on the Suburban All-Stars?
Yeah, they had Raphael Biggis, Martin Inglesby. They had all guys that they had Tony Hayden, John Gallagher. They had the kid Javier Crespo, who was like a 6'9" European player.
Okay.
Paul Romanchuk. They had all of the best players that they had. You know what I'm saying? So we beat them in double overtime, but I sprained my ankle real bad.
Wow.
Never forget that. And I'm like, man, I got to play in the championship game. You know what I'm saying? And so now we get to the championship game. I'm severely limping. You know what I'm saying? And Bean see me limping. You know what I'm saying? So,
like just walking in the gym limping or in the lab?
No, like we're in warm-up. So I'm limping back to half court. Like, I'm like, man, I got to loosen up trying to get this ankle loose. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So now we go to tip the ball off. Cole come over to me. I got Donnie. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how like you about to go for tip off. He like nudged me, then pointed over my head like I got Donnie. Then he whispered in my ear. He's like, "Yeah, I see you hurt." You know what I'm saying? He was like, "Guess what? That's on you, man." He said, "Guess what? I'm fixing to bust your ass." He's like, "If you hurt, you shouldn't play. But now I'm a shark and I see blood in the water. That's about your ass." You know what I'm saying? And I worked my way to like 20 points, you know what I'm saying? A little over 20. He had an unbelievable game, but he talking mad trash to me, like blocking my shot, D'ing me up, like looking good. I'm salty, you know what I'm saying? But that's who he was, man, you know what I'm saying? But so now then we played each other, you know, a couple times, a couple months later in that Drexel game. And after the game, and the games wound up finishing the same way. Like I broke out to like 19 to 20 points a half. Bean had like an okay first half. Then he exploded in the second half. And you know, I worked my way to a couple points in the second half. You know what I mean? But at the end, you know, he hugged me, man. He was just like, man. He was like, listen, man. He was like, he said, look, man. Like, I would love for us to be teammates, man. Why not us just go to LaSalle and do it together, man? You know what I mean? Like, as we're embracing each other, like, let's go to LaSalle and do this together. You know what I'm saying? So then he was, and everybody was like, yo, what did he whisper to you? That's what he whispered to me. Like, let's go to LaSalle and do this together. You know what I'm saying? Wow. But that was probably his dad, you know what I'm saying? His dad thinking like, yo, drop that jewel in Donnie's ear. And I never forget, man, you know, his dad called us up, you know, after Kobe had went on that unbelievable run, because I think that was one of the only games they lost that year was to us. And his dad called me and my brother up because my brother was the one that was helping me with my recruitment. And he was like, yo, man, we had a meeting in LaSalle's gym. He was like, listen. He was like, and that's when he gave me that piece of advice. He was like, listen, Gavin Garnett had just made the jump, first dude to do it in like 25, 30 years. And Kobe became the #1 player. And he was like, listen, my son ain't going to college. It was like, man, my son going to be the first guy to ever make the jump. You know what I'm saying? The first guard to ever make the jump. You know, all the guys prior to Kobe was big guys that made the jump to the NBA. You know what I mean? He was like, my son going to be the first guy to make the jump. And he was like, so he ain't going to school. You know what I'm saying? He going straight to the NBA. Wow. And he was like, so I knew before Kobe had announced it, you know what I'm saying, that he was going straight to the NBA. And he was like, but listen, man, he was like, LaSalle's still a spot for you. He was like, you know, you get recruited all over the country. He was like, just think of it this way. He was like, why not just be a big fish in a small pond? He was like, whatever level you think you should go to, just go a level or two under and just dominate. You know what I'm saying? And it was in that meeting that I knew Kobe was going straight to the NBA.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So talk about the your LaSalle experience, and then, you know, playing with Russell Butler, and then life after LaSalle, and you know, whatever else you want to do to wrap up.
Yep. So when I first got to LaSalle, man, you know, like I said, I had heard so many people telling me like, yo, man, you get to college, you're going up a level. Guys are stronger, quicker, more athletic. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to have to adjust, man. I don't know if you're going to, all that stuff you're doing here, I don't know if it's going to work at the next level. So I'm like, all right. So the thing about it was, I was blessed to play with Sean Red Smith, because Reds was, he was a point guard deluxe, man. He had led, you know, Gratz to a national championship. You know what I'm saying? They went 31-0, and he had played on that, and he just knew how to run your team backwards and frontwards. You know what I'm saying? And I never forget my first game in a LaSalle uniform. We played against Mount St. Mary's, and I had missed my first 6 shots. And Reyes was like, yo, man, he's like, calm down. You're a little bit too hyped. He was like, all you need is one, kid. I'm going to get you an easy basket. Wow. He got me my first basket, and I went on to score like 18 straight points. You know what I'm saying? And I had 2 spurts in that game that I wound up with 36. You know what I'm saying? My first college game.
Wait, you had 36 your first game?
Yeah. Yeah, my first game I had 36, man. And it was really 2 spurts. And Reyes talked me through that whole time, man. Then you look up, man, we had Iowa the next game, the Big Ten. And Speedy Morris was, you know, he was ahead of his time, man. He really coached the game like they coach today, man. Like he wanted to, you know, get as many threes up as possible. You know what I mean? He ran the flex offense, but he had a lot of different sets that looked the same but had, you know, counters to them. And at the end of the day, man, he was talking me through it. He was telling me like, yo, these dudes can't guard you. Like, go at them. Like, and you know, if you hearing a coach tell you that, it's like, yo, they can't guard me, so I am gonna go at them. Look up, man. I had 34 at Iowa. You know what I'm saying? Then come back, and you know, I think we played like American. You had like 27, but like 6 out of my first 7 games, I had like 30 or more. You know what I'm saying? And I look up, you know, we played Drexel. I had 34, and I'm leading the country in scoring. But it wasn't by design, man. It was just like, yo, man, like all the things people were telling me, like I don't see. Because I was just a talented guy coming out of high school with a big reputation, which means nothing in college. You know, people were going to make me prove. And nobody was throwing junk defenses at me at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, this like. So I'm thinking to myself, like, what's different? Like, it's nothing different. Like, everybody's telling me, like, you know, these guys are stronger, more athletic. Yeah, they more experienced, but I'm just playing my game and it's working. So, you know, 11, 12 games into the season, I'm averaging over 31 a game. You know what I mean?
Whoa.
And I'm probably shooting like 47% from the field. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But when we got in a conference play, that's when I saw the difference, man. You know, and at the time, you know, we were in the Atlantic 10, and you know, the Atlantic 10 was like the new Big East, man. It was a 6-bid league.
Real good.
You know, Temple was in the league, Xavier was in the league, Virginia Tech was in the league. You still had George Washington, Rhode Island,
UMass,
St. Joe's, like, and you know, teams weren't just making the tournament. Like, you know, Temple went to 2 Elite Eights. You know, what I say? Xavier went to a couple Sweet 16s. Rhode Island went to an Elite 8. St. Joe's went to a Sweet 16. So the league was as good as it gets. And you had some unbelievable coaches at the time. You had, you know, John Chaney at Temple. You had Skip Prosser, who was an unbelievable coach, man, a guy that was ahead of his time, wound up going on to Wake Forest, and he had an unbelievable coaching tree that produced all them great coaches that wound up coaching at Xavier. UMass that went to a Final Four under John Calipari. You know what I'm saying? So the league was unbelievable, and that's when I started seeing, you know, the coaching levels and, you know what I'm saying, how, you know, teams could design a defense to stop you. You know what I mean? And you know, I went from averaging 31 a game, shooting, you know, 47% to my average dropping to 24 a game. And, you know, I wound up finishing that year shooting in the 30s because, you know, I had tough shooting nights, you know, in conference play. They had 12, 13 games on me. You know, they knew our favorite sets, where I wanted the ball, how I score here. And, you know, all those things came into play, man. And it was just like, yo, man. But then, you know, I had to recruit Victor Thomas to come to LaSalle, and you know, a lot of people don't know this. Larry Kettner verbally committed to LaSalle, and then decommitted and wound up going to UMass because UMass had just had Marcus Camby, who was a lottery pick, and James Bruiser Flint, who was Calipari's right-hand man, was a Philadelphia dude. And I never forget when Larry decommitted. You know, we're in the lunchroom. And he pulled out the schedule. He's like, yo, look how many times we're going to be on TV next year. Yo, this game on CBS. This game right here, we played so-and-so. I'm like, yo, we played Kansas right here. Like, I'm like, wow. You know what I'm saying? And UMass was a national program. Went to a Final Four.
That's right.
So now, you know, I had to recruit Rasul, man. And it's funny because Rasul had the same experience that I had. He had over 200 offers. You know, he had a Kentucky offer.
Wow.
You know, Villanova, one of them bad. Everybody in the ACC recruiting them. So, you know, I think, you know, it came down to Tayshaun Prince committed first. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't go to Kentucky. Then Danny Miller committed to Maryland. So he didn't go to Maryland. And it was just like, yo, bro, I'm telling you, man, we can do exactly what Train and them did when they had Train, Randy, Doug, Bobby Johnson, them dudes. We can do the same thing. Me, you, Vic. You know, we were supposed to have Rasheem Middleton, who was an unbelievable, talented guard from Newman Goretti at the time. And, you know, he was like the last piece, like me, him, Vic, you know, Sue. And we, you know, it's funny because my senior year, we wound up jumping out to a 7-1 record to start that year, which was the best start in 10 years in school history. Like since that Randy Woods team that played against Seton Hall and Terry DeHare and them. And then I wound up coming down with meningitis, and that season was a disaster. Wow. We wound up losing 7 straight games. Wow. We're 7-1 going into the Carrier Dome to play Syracuse, and I wound up getting sick. And we had just beat, Fran Dunphy was at Penn, and they were like a nemesis. I had never beat Penn my first 3 years, and we had smacked them by 17. Mm-hmm. And, I'll never forget, man, I threw Sewell a oop in that game. And it was like the changing of the guard, man. Like Sewell caught the oop. We were never able to connect on the oop. Like I would hook him on other passes, but I hooked him on the oop. And, he grabbed it. He was hollering before he dunked it. He came down. We put something on Penn that game, man. And we were flying high going into Syracuse. And back then, if you won 20 games in the A-10, you were going to the tournament because it was a 6-bid league.
Exactly.
And, we already had 7 wins. It was like, yo, man, we were good. You know what I'm saying? And I wound up, coming down with that illness, man, and we lost 7 straight games. I wanted to medically redshirt, but at the time, the NCAA had a rule. Now, if it was the same now as it was back, if it was the same back then as it was now, I would have redshirted. Okay. Because back then you could only play in 20% of your games, and we had already. And back then it was only a 27-game season. You know what I mean, including the postseason. So now, at the time. I had already played in 7 games. So now you're allowed to play up until 9 games before you redshirt. So I didn't want to chance it. I rushed back, and I was only a shell of myself, man. And, we wound up, not having a good season. But, it was always at LaSalle, it was always, something unfortunate happened. Like the year before that, Sewell was a late qualifier, so he had missed the first 5 games. We wound up finishing 14-15 that year. Had he played a full season, we probably would have got close to 20 games that year. But we were always, a player away or, some type of hardship away from, what I'm saying, us really turning the corner. You know what I mean? And that was really, my experience at LaSalle, which was the only level that I didn't win at. I won in grade school. I won, in high school, obviously. Didn't win in college. Went on to play professionally 2 years in Turkey and 1 year in France. I won over there at a high level.
Before the overseas experience became a reality, did you have your eyes set on trying to go to the NBA? And like, what happened there?
Yeah, but what happened was I told you I came down with my sickness, and I had a horrible I had a phenomenal junior season, but I had a bad senior year. And, unfortunately, man, they go off of what you do last. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I wasn't healthy. Yeah. So I wasn't even – I knew I wasn't going to the NBA because I didn't really do nothing that year. Okay. And, you know what I mean? Like, I was really just – when I got out of the hospital, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And during the season. And when I got out of the hospital, if I walked a block, it was like I played 5 games. I was huffing and puffing. Like, it was bad, man. So I had to get back in shape and get back. But it's funny because when I went overseas, it started off just like my freshman year. Like my first, 10 games overseas, I scored 30 or more. You know what I'm saying? And I was leading the Turkish league in scoring. There was a lot of pros over there, like Mehmet Okur, Hidayet Turkoglu, AC Earl was in the league. It was a bunch of pros in that league because Turkey is one of the better leagues in Europe. And I led the league in scoring as a rookie. And I wanted to finish in second that year. But, my overseas career started just like my college career, but it got derailed by injuries. I was a guy that, never, missed the game except when I got sick, not to injury, but to illness. And after playing, in college, I just came down with injury after injury after injury after injury, man. And I just said, you know what? When I blew my patella, I was just like, man, is it? I mean, I gotta find something else to do. So I was only able to play 3 years professionally, but I had 3 great years. You know what I mean? But injuries derailed my career.
Yeah, I have three more questions for you, and just for all the viewers, we got a lot of viewers. I'm gonna turn. I know we've been on for a while, but if you have a little bit more time, just inkling of more time, I'm gonna just ask you 2-3 more questions, and then I'm gonna just have a quick little Q&A. Let the people ask you a few questions. Is that all right?
Yep. Yep. Cool.
All right. So my question is, one of my questions is, just help me to understand mentally what you experienced, and then how you got over the hump. You go all your life playing ball. You're playing with some of the greatest players in the history of basketball of the last 30, 40 years or whatever, Kobe and Ron Artest and all these guys. And for probably the first time in your life, you're realizing that you're not going to be playing ball at the levels and accomplishing the dreams that you may have had, you know what I'm saying, with the injuries and everything. What were you going through, and then how did you get through that, man, to close that chapter of your life?
Honestly, man, I was depressed, to be honest with you. It was one of the worst feelings, because you put a lifetime into it, you know what I mean, and you chasing your dream. And it was something that, and I'm shout out to Scoop Jardine, who started a life after basketball foundation, man, and he's doing a great job with that. And it's huge, man. It's something that you gotta learn to get over, man. And it took me years to get over it. Years. I'm talking about probably 5 years to get over me not playing at the highest level. You know what I mean? And I went through a lot. I went through some dark times, man, and it was just a bad time for me. And mentally, man, I was down and out, man. I was just like depressed. I had gained, like 40, 50 pounds. You know what I'm saying? I was heavy. I was, eating. I was like a couch potato. You know what I mean? And it was just a bad time, man. And and I had people that helped me through it, man. But at the end of the day, it's something that you got to learn to get over. But it just brought me back to my childhood, and my grandmom, who was a great influence in my life. I grew up with her, in the house with her. My grandma raised me, and all we would do was help our community. And it was my defining moment. Came from a phone call from a high school teammate of mine, Chris McNesby. He was like, Donnie, man, he was like, you're one of the smartest players I've ever played with, and you have an unbelievable basketball mind. He was like, why don't you just come down and see how you like coaching, man? Just work out with the guys and see how you like it. And actually, Malik Waynes was one of the first players I coached. You know what I mean? And I fell in love, man. And I remember that night. When I got off the phone with Chris, I was staring at the ceiling, and I'm like, man, do I really want to do this? You know what I mean? And it just came to me. It was like, yo, man, what way can you leave a legacy behind? Because, I always looked at myself as far more than just a basketball player. You know what I mean? I'm more like a community guy, a guy that, will give back to my community. And I was able to, mentor Scoop, mentor Deion Waiters, and, Tracy Carter, and, Ramon Moore, and all those guys that came behind me, you know what I mean? And I found myself always helping guys. So I was like, you know what? That's really my calling, man. Like, what better way for me to help than to just use my life experiences and just give back to my community and just start from there. Mm-hmm. And, when I got that phone call from Chris, I came down, I just fell in love, man. I'm like, yo, this is it, man. This is what I'm doing. Yeah,
hey,
I'm putting my all in this.
Sorry to interrupt you. This is great, man. The interview is amazing. We have so many viewers right now, but we came up on our second hour. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna do just like I did before. I'm gonna end this. Yeah. I'm gonna start a new video in 1 minute. All the 28, almost 30 viewers, come right back. I'm gonna ask one more question. You're gonna continue where you are. I'm gonna ask one more question, and we're gonna have Q&A. We're gonna wrap it up.
Cool.
All right, I'll see you right back.
All right.
All right. Hey, what's the deal, people? If you've been tuned in, you've been a part of a special night here on Legends Week. My man Donnie Carr, the legend, man, he's been giving up the game. He's been giving up classic stories, that include, Kobe Bean Bryant, Ron Artest, Sham God, Lamar Odom, classic stories, man. If you missed the first hour or the second hour, the entire interview with Donnie Carr, Legends Week, is going to be on the YouTube channel tonight or tomorrow. Make sure you go on, check it out, man. Get your pen and pad out and take notes. I mean, this just the wealth of information and the wealth of knowledge my man Donnie Carr is giving out is ridiculous, man. We're about to wrap it up. As soon as Donnie Carr gets back on, we're gonna just ask one more question. He's gonna continue the last thought that he had talking about his introduction into coaching, and then I'm gonna ask him one more question. Then I'm gonna turn it over to Donnie Carr and the people for a nice Q&A. All right. Hey, so the very last thing you was mentioning, you were just finish that thought. You were just talking about your introduction into coaching and that being your calling and everything.
Yeah, man. It like I said, it brought me back to my childhood, and it made me think about what way because once basketball is over, it's like, yo, basketball isn't going to define me. I just look at myself as far more than just a basketball player. So at the end of the day, man, it was just like, all right, well, what's next? And it was like, I just want to give back to my community, man. It's like the guys that helped me get to where I was guys like Claude Gross, guys like Jimmy Wilson, you know what I'm saying, Mr. Bill, Lawrence, Shue, all the guys, my brother, and all the support we had, in our community. So I was like, yo, man, I can't be selfish. I was blessed to, have a lot of great experiences, play for a lot of legendary coaches, and Coach Sutton, Coach Jordan, Coach Morris, you know what I mean? And, have a best friend that, coach for, played for, Pat Riley. So I would always talk basketball with Rasul, talk basketball with Lamar Odom. And I got to share that with my community. So it was like, this is it, man. I could. And the funny thing is, you see kids that are going through the life cycle that you already went through. So you just, where they at, you know what I'm saying? You know that you could prepare them for what's ahead of them. And I just, it just dawned on me that, man, this is I can, because I do it for free. Yeah. So it's at the end of the day, and that's how I started off, volunteering at the Sunny Hill League, volunteering at Roman Catholic, you know what I'm saying? Volunteering, a team final in the AAU program, you know what I mean? So it was just like, yo, this is it, man. This is what I want to do.
So one of the last questions I have, what does it mean for you to now be coaching, assistant coaching, coaching at, your alma mater at LaSalle? What does that mean to you?
It's surreal, man. It's special, man. And, at the end of the day, it's surreal because it goes back to what my mentor told me, you know what I mean? And all the guys that, convinced me to stay home and play, in the Philadelphia Big Five. It's like, yo, man, this is the reward. Like you get a special chance to, go back to your alma mater and, reconnect with professors and, staff, staff members and, people that's, in the cafeteria and, it's special, man. And it brings back a lot of great memories, man. And I'm just happy to, get an opportunity to work with one of the best young coaches in all of college basketball, and Coach Ashley Howard, a guy that, has a championship blueprint and the champion and is building a championship culture at LaSalle and a wealth of information. And it's surreal, man, to be getting this opportunity. And we're going to get this done at LaSalle, man. Man, how long it takes, man. We're getting better every day, man. Day by day, week by week, year by year. And we're building something special at 20th and Olney, man. We're going to get back to the Lionel Simmons days and the Tom Golas when LaSalle was making deep tournament runs and having special players and just a lot of great times, man.
For sure. My last question, man. Just give a message to the younger generation. Just anything that you want to say to younger players, keys to success, anything you want to say, and then we're going to get to the Q&A. So people, this is my last question, and you guys can actually start typing your questions now for Donnie Carr. And hey, Donnie, as when we get to the Q&A, as you see the questions, you can feel free to ask, answer anything you want to answer. Quick shout out to another legend in the building. We got my man Rashid Brooklyn joined us. Got the legend. We got my man Joe Mead in the building. Got my guys.
They my guys, man. They my guys. Joe Mead. I was just hanging out with Sheed. I was just hanging out with Sheed last night, man. That's my guy, man. A guy that honestly, and we were laughing. I said, man, listen, all we did was try to kill each other when we went head to head, but you know, it was always a mutual respect and a lot of admiration there, man.
For
And he
sure.
was one of the finest basketball players of that generation, man.
For
She was an
sure.
unbelievable cover, man. He was a scoring machine. He was a bucket.
For
You know what I
sure.
mean? Unique player.
Yeah.
But my message to the youth, man, is, you know, no matter what you're doing in life, man, it's no shortcuts to success, man. You know, you got to prioritize your life, man. You gotta set goals for yourself, short term and long term, and you got to do something every day towards, you know, reaching those goals. You know what I mean? And you should have short term and long term goals, and don't ever let nobody, you know, tell you what you can't be, man. You can be whatever you put your mind to. You know what I mean? But it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of dedication, and you have to see it. You know what I'm saying? And visualize it, and then go chase it, man.
Uh-huh.
You know, and at the end of the day, man, that's what life is about, man. No matter how many times you fail, don't stop trying, man. You know what I mean? Don't let that, you know, discourage you from chasing your dreams, man. But you got to understand that you got to be humble, you got to be hungry, you got to be dedicated to your craft, no matter what it is you're doing. And the same thing that you can use as an excuse, you can use as motivation.
100%.
So that's my message, man. No matter what you're doing in any walk of life, man, dedicate yourself, man.
No
You know,
doubt.
and go chase your dream. Go get it.
No doubt. Well, hey, I don't have any more for you, man. I just want to say thank you so much, Donnie. This night right here was everything that I knew it was going to be. You're an amazing storyteller. The Kobe stories, the Farragut stories, amazing stuff, man. I know how valuable time is, so I thank you so much just for giving me this time. Thanks for allowing me the opportunity to help to solidify your legacy. Thanks for all the education to the younger generation, and just thank you for all that you've given to the game. And now in your coaching role as a mentor, you know, you talked about what Claude Gross and those guys meant to you. Now you're in that role. And
Yeah.
now it's like 10, 20 years from now, I'm sure, you know, God willing, I'll be interviewing a kid and, you know, after his college experience, and he's going to say, yeah, man, when I was coming up, it was a coach Donnie Carr. You know what I'm saying? He encouraged me in this and that. So, I mean, you're in an amazing position right now, such priceless, giving back to young black men and just, you know, young men, period. So thank you, Carr, and thank you from the bottom of my heart, man, for being a part of Legends Week, man.
I just want to say to you, man, I love and appreciate you what you're doing, man. We need more guys like you, man. And it was an honor, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share my story and my experiences, man. And it's guys like yourself, man, that's going to keep taking this thing and ascending this thing to another level, man. And at the end of the day, it's important for these young guys to understand their history and know the guys that were before them. And you take a great deal of pride and making sure these guys understand their history. And that's what it's all about, man. Like I said, my mentors, they would always, like, to go into a gym with Claude Gross, it was a history lesson. It wasn't just basketball. It was life skills, you know what I mean? Things that he will arm you with, you understand what I'm saying, for the rest of your life. And, you know, that's what it's about, man, because at the end of the day, man, you want to, you know, cultivate relationships. And you never know. And, you know, basketball is just a game that connects people. You understand what I'm saying? And you use it as a vehicle to navigate your way through life, man. And the relationships and the team bonding, and they're special and it's priceless, man. Mostly, and not all of them, but a lot of my best relationships came from people that I met through the game of basketball, whether it be a teammate, whether it be a coach, whether it be an opponent. You know what I mean? I've developed unbelievable and priceless relationships through this game, man. And at the end of the day, man, that's what it's all about, man. So I'm honored, you know, I'm blessed, man, and I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to share my story.
For sure. All right, we're gonna get to some questions from the people. My man James Nelson Stewart always has a classic that he comes with every night, and this is a thinking question. He wants to know your top Roman top 5 in the 90s.
Top 5 players?
Yes, yeah, yep.
Oh man, that's easy for me. All right, so top 5 in the 90s. Mark Jackson. First of all, I don't want to go in no order, but at the end of the day, in my opinion, Eddie Griffin was the best player that I've seen play at Roman. You know what I'm saying? Eddie Griffin was before his time. He was He was a stretch four before, you know, everybody even started using that term. Like, he was a guy that, you know, had a special ability and he could dominate the game on both ends of the floor. I seen Eddie have games where he had 25 rebounds. He had 15 blocks. You understand what I'm saying? He had a quadruple double. So I would go Eddie Griffin. I would go Rasul Butler. I would go Larry Kettner. I would go Mark Jackson. And 90s. One more. Who am I leaving out? I said Larry, Rasul, Mark,
Eddie.
This last one is tough. Huh?
No, I just laughed.
No, this last one is tough because Malik didn't play in the 90s. Oh man, 90s. I'll go Marv Harrison.
Marv Harrison.
Yep.
Got you.
Yep.
Which Roman team that you played on do you think was the best and why?
The best Roman team that I played on, I think, was my senior year, and it's because, you know, everybody embraced their role. You know what I'm saying? And we had a team full of guys that was selfless and connected. And at the end of the day, man, we had a perfect season in the Catholic League. We had a perfect, you know, record in the city. And, you know, the only time we lost 2 games that year, and they were both to national teams. And, you know, that was just a special team. Now, the most talented team was that 95 team, but that was the only team that didn't win the championship. But the best team I played on was my senior year.
Got you. All right, people, throw some more questions at my man Donnie. I got a question of the of your summer league. What's one of your most, like, the craziest, like, when you talk about Showtime and the summer leagues and all that kind of stuff? What's one of your most memorable Showtime moments, you think? I mean, crowd going crazy, people jumping around, acting stupid. What do you think?
Oh man, there was a lot of them. But my favorite. All right, 16 for Susquehanna.
Oh, yeah.
That was my favorite. And I never forget, we're playing down 16th Street. And, you know, the year before I played with Toss It Up. And, you know, we had a bomb squad. We had Lenore Stewart. We had Salle. We had Hot Rod, Black Austin. You know, we all played on the team. But it was like, it was too many guys. You know what I mean? So now, like, you know, and, you know, they're in that neighborhood. This is my first time playing up there. And I really didn't get a chance to showcase, you know, myself up there like the right way. So then, you know, Daoud Bey had, you know, he had a rap group, you know, it was called Big Face. And, you know, he put a team in there, and it was all of us. It was me, Sue, and, you know, all the guys from, you know, our neighborhood. And I never forget, we're playing against Big Yama, and somebody came down, and I think Sue got dunked on, right? And now, so the very next play, I got the ball in my hand. I come down, I cross over somebody, and I drop it off, and Sue run up Yama chest and dunk on Yama the next play. And everybody in the schoolyard going crazy, you know what I'm saying? People running on the court.
Yeah.
You know, that was one. And then the other one was up Parkside when we were playing in the championship against Sean Harvey and Newt Arnold.
Wow.
You know, it was a semifinal game, and at the end of the day, man, it was a heated game. They jumped out on us, you know. They jumped out on us quick. They had Joe Newton, they had Sean Harvey, they had Newt Arnold, the Devin and James Fowler, and they had all those guys up there, man. And I never forget. I had, you know, Joe Newton was guarding me, and I never forget, I was backing him down, and I was telling him he was too small. And we used to call this the Marbury. It was the move that Kyle Lee Watson hit on what was that basketball movie, Above the Rim? where he backing the dude down and he throw the ball behind his back and spin at
me.
the same time.
Yeah.
I had Joe Newton with that and laid the ball up with my left hand, and they was going crazy over there, man. But you know, that was one of my fine, and we actually won a championship. And my old head, man, Carlos, man, he coached us to a championship, and his whole thing was, we only need 7 or 8 men, man. We only need no more than 8 men. You know what I mean? He was the same guy that coached us to the championship in the Delaware shootout. You know, it was Philly USA. It was Shube's team, but he was the coach. We won Parkside, man. That was the only time, that was the last year at Parkside. So that was a memorable moment. That was the last year at Parkside.
Tony P 208 wants to know, did you ever play with or against Rip Hamilton?
I played with Rip, and I played against Rip, but we didn't have too many classic battles. I played against Rip down the hill, and we went at it. But it wasn't, it was a summer league game, and in the Sunny Hill League, it wasn't going to be too many individual battles. You know what I mean? It wasn't like because we never played Coatesville. And then we played against them one time, I think, in that Delaware shootout when they were on Sam Ryan's team. And Rip and Kobe was on that team. So that was the only 2 times I played against Rip. But I had an opportunity to go to school with Rip because UConn recruited both of us hard.
Okay.
And, he wound up going, but I didn't. So a lot of respect, man. Rip, the funny thing about, I'll share a funny story with Rip. Rip was like Magic Johnson in high school. You know what I'm saying? People don't know that. Rip played. He did everything with the ball. He was like a point guard in high school. He was tricky. He was silky smooth. He was a bucket. Then when he got to UConn, he played like Ray Allen and Reggie Miller. He just
constantly
ran around. He just never stopped running.
Yep.
So it was like that dude transformed his game, to a whole different, because he did everything with the ball. He was like smooth. He had all the breakdown moves in the book, you know what I'm saying? And it was just smooth. Rip was a hell of a player. He was special. But to see him transform his whole game and play a whole different game once he got to UConn, I'm like, dude, he do everything without the ball now.
Yeah.
And that would be one of my messages to the youth, man. It's like, you guys got to learn how to play without the ball. You know what I'm saying? And, they did a study where you really only had a ball in your hand like, 2 or 3 minutes in terms of real time in the game. So it's like, what are you doing all those other minutes when you don't have the ball? And there's so many guys, you know what I'm saying, that think they need the ball, you understand what I'm saying, to impact the game. And if you look at a guy like Klay Thompson, if you look at a guy like Rip Hamilton, you know what I mean, some of the better guys, because they see James Harden, they see, Dame Lillard and these dudes with these wicked handles, those guys are special. But at the end of the day, you look at the team like the Golden State Warriors, how do you get 5 All-Stars to play on the team together? Because the ball never stops moving, and it's player and ball movement. So guys got to learn how to play without the ball, man. That's an art. And if you want to play at the highest level, you got to get used to playing with great players. You look up, you're on the team with LeBron and Anthony Davis, or you're on the team with, Kyrie and KD, or you're on the team with Steph and Clay. You're not going to have the ball. So what are you doing without the ball?
Exactly. Hey, well, that's pretty much it, man. Real quick, this just like I said earlier, this entire interview is going to be on my YouTube channel. I'm gonna upload it tomorrow, and I'll send you the link. So that's one thing. And 2, I'm gonna take off this week because I'm scheduling more interviews. Listen, this Legends Week thing has taken off, bro.
That's awesome, man.
So many legends have been coming out the woodwork. I mean, I got people like all over that are reaching out. Oh, don't forget this guy. Don't forget that guy. So it's definitely going down, man. If at all possible, I need to try to find Shea Cotton because you reminded me of him.
I got his number.
Yeah, I need to find him. I would love to try to get him on. I would love to try to get Lamar Odom on if possible. But anything you can do, anything you can do, I greatly would appreciate it. But Shea Cotton, that's someone that I forgot about that you reminded me of. And I would love to dialogue with him, man. I would love it.
I'll connect you guys. I'll connect you guys for sure. But like I said, Shea was Zion Williamson before Zion
And
Williamson,
this
man.
generation, they don't know, so
He
I
was
got
a
to talk
freak,
to
man. He was a
him.
freak, man. He was a freak of nature, man.
Yeah, look, I appreciate all these stories, Donnie, man. This was fun, man. You had fun,
Yeah,
man?
somebody asked me what player reminds me.
Oh, of yourself today. Ooh, that's a
Yeah.
good question.
Honestly, I think that Dion is a guy that reminds me of myself. You know what I'm saying? Dion Waiters. You know what I mean? Now Dion was more athletic than me, but we had very similar games. Him being a combo guard, me being a combo guard, and me loving to play pick and roll and see how he can play pick and roll, and him being able to score, and he just has my mentality, like his heart, his toughness. You know what I mean? But I just think he was more athletic, you know what I mean, than I was. But that's the player that reminds me of myself
No doubt.
today.
All right, well, it's been real, man. Legends Week is going to continue in another week. I'm off this week to schedule more interviews, but I'll be back like the second or either the third or the fourth week of this month. So all you viewers out there, I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. This was a treat. Y'all were part of history tonight. Donnie, I can't thank you enough, big dog.
Oh man, I appreciate you, man. Thanks again for having me, man. I'm blessed. Hopefully, my story inspired, a couple people, man. And even if it inspired one person, man, that's good enough for me, man. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about, man. You gotta, motivate and inspire the youth, man. That's what it's about, man. So thanks for having me, man. I was honored.
I'll right
Keep
back
doing
at
your
you.
thing, man. You're able to get all these legends because of who you are and what your name stands for, man. So
No
just
doubt.
know that, man.
No doubt.
People love what you're doing, man. They respect what you're doing, and you're doing something great, man. So keep it up, man.
No doubt. And I want to say real quick, rest in peace, man, to Bean. Rest in peace to Rasul Butler. Rest in peace, Larry Kentner, man. And anyone else that we mentioned, rest in peace, Claude Gross, I believe, correct?
Yeah, Eddie Griffin.
Eddie Griffin. Yeah, rest in peace,
Yeah.
Eddie Griffin, man. Tons of people that we mentioned during this broadcast tonight have passed away, man. So thanks for mentioning those guys and helping to keep their legacies alive as well.
Yep, man. I appreciate that, man. Again, thanks for the opportunity, man. Keep doing your thing, man.
Yep.
We're all going to support you, man. We got to support each other, man. That's what it's about.
Yeah. God bless you, man. Bless you and your family. I'll talk to you again soon.
All right, same to you.
All right.